I received over 150 cars for the Junkyard Joust Custom Tournament. And that means 30 teams are going to battle for supremacy in the Junkyard. Welcome everybody, I'm Aaron Yonda, and this is going to be amazing. It's the Custom Joust. Our first 5 teams are the Ram Jams, Team Teddies, Thunder Hollow, Dogfighters, and Truck and Roll. Let's take a closer look. First up, it's the Ram Jams from Team DRT3K. There's some good variety on this team. Here are the Dogfighters, man's best enemy, from Underdogs Unleashed. This team has some serious undercutting ability and also some good ramp defense. Next up is Team Teddies, a team that I am purposely mispronouncing. This is a heavy team and they also have a low flow ramp. Truck and Roll. This is a poopy team, but in the best possible way. The biggest load in this match is carried by that green dump truck, 158 grams. And finally, look at this beat up team, Thunder Hollow from Penguin Racing, a Cars-themed team of vehicles. The rules for custom Junkyard Joust are the same as regular Junkyard Joust. Survive. The teams and cars will be sent down the track in a random order. Cars that are sideways or upside down at the end of the round are eliminated. Cars that are right side up move on. The match is over when only 2 teams have cars remaining. Those teams will move on. Here we go, round 1 of the custom tournament. Let's joust. Duke from the Dogfighters is going to start us off. And of course, my patrons get to sponsor cars that take part in jousts. Ellis Wurtenberger, the sponsor of this one. The team running order is up. It is randomly decided. The order that the cars are going down in also randomly decided. That's a little different than the regular joust. Here comes a big one, Heavy Wrecker, 136 grams for Truck and Roll. Heavy Wrecker slams into Duke, and Duke stays locked into the track. A little push, but then comes back down. Heavy Wrecker more like 3 vehicles in one. Driven by Crazy Canuck, it's last stop for Team Teddies. Last stop slaps 1/3 of Heavy Wrecker off the track. That piece is now unattached from the main vehicle, so it will not come back in the next round if Heavy Wrecker survives. And now that ramp is set up. And look, it's actually a double ramp right now. This could be deadly. Bill's going first for Thunder Hollow. Bill hits that ramp and it does not end well. It ends quickly though, straight up into the crates and upside down. Elimination, almost no chance of recovery. Tough luck for Bill. First up for the Ram Jams, it's Heart Scraper, sponsored by the Miskatonic Automotive Club. Heart Scraper somehow gets under last stop. That is a big deal right there. That ramp has been pushed up, and last stop might be in trouble. A lot of paint flying on that hit. Here comes Lily for the Dogfighters, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. Lily gets under Heart Scraper, and last stop is forced off the track upside down. That's a big elimination whenever a ramp like that gets eliminated. The level of competition in this tournament is intense. Big dumper now for Truck and Roll. Big hit coming. Big dumper pushes through all the cars on the field. Somehow Lily survives. Most of the cars get off and survive, except for Heart Scraper, which takes a bad bounce off Last Stop, who had just eliminated, and now it's probably out. Heavy Wrecker gets separated from the other semi it was carrying, and that thing is loose now. Wow, what a hit. Now Big Dumper is going to take a big hit from the Nurse Hearse from Team Teddies, driven by Bay City Daryl. And Big Dumper takes a big dump, flipping off the track, finds itself a little bit top heavy, and just goes straight over upside down. With a little help from Lily, and that's probably going to do it for Big Dumper. Fair Games taken to the track next for Thunder Hollow, sponsored by DYW Production Labs. Fair Game goes clattering into Nurse Hearse and slides off the track. Not quite all the way safe yet, though. Here comes Scully for the Ram Jam, sponsored by Sicken. Scully knocks Fair Game around in a circle, but Fair Game lands it. And now we got 3 cars locked on the track. Could Scully's low rear end prove a ramp situation? Might not with Jack from the Dogfighters, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Jack does indeed get underneath, but can't quite finish the job as Scully gets tossed off to the side almost completely. Next up is Poop King for Truck and Roll, sponsored by Hey Hey's Hatchback Hangar. Poop King flies off Jack's back and takes out Scully in the process and himself, and his porta potties go flying all the way over by Evil Weevil. Sorry about that, Evil Weevil. Hopefully those porta potties were new ones that Poop King was planning to drop off somewhere. Next up, it's Booby Trap, driven by Cupcake. Booby Trap slams into the line and breaks it up pretty good. Actually manages to take out his teammate, though, in the process. Also manages to potentially take out Lily, although Lily is balancing and could make a recovery here. A rough hit there, but these heavy vehicles cannot control who they take out a lot of times. Here comes APB, sponsored by Chome. APB solidifies the line of cars, pushing Jack farther into Lily, and Lily's almost making a recovery here. And it looks like a chunk that came off APB lands on the track right behind him, right at the end there. Here comes BH Big Truckus, sponsored by Regal Radio. Big Truckus cannot break the line of cars, a heavy hit. All it does, though, is manage to upright Lily finally, and that's gonna be a recovery. Here comes Bella for the Dogfighters, sponsored by Judy Collins. Bella tries to get under Big Truckus, but Big Truckus is not moving. That thing's got some serious protection on both ends. Here comes Wrecked, sponsored by Beak's Busted Barn Finds. Wrecked slams into the line, but finds it immovable. That ramp now not really set up. Things are pretty precarious for the last two cars in this line. Ghoul Bus, 117 grams, driven by Mr. Dark. The Ghoul Bust splits both of those cars, and they both have bad results. Upside down, that's going to be 2 eliminations by that big bus. Big hit. Big damage. Next up, it's Chimichanga, sponsored by Chemical Knight. Chimichanga slams into the line, can't break it, and lines up, and loses a little paint in the process. Here comes the other low flow in play, Ramp Jam, sponsored by Hendricus Heavy Hauling. Ramp Jam slots in. It's the perfect situation for a ramp vehicle. The line of cars is tight, and now that ramp is in play big time. It looks to me like Buddy from the Dogfighters has been designed with this in mind. Sponsored by Mark the Music Lover. Buddy cannot break the ramp, but look at this. The car topples all over the place, flies into the crates, and has enough agility to flip around and make a recovery. That was a crazy run, but great recovery there by Buddy. Haulin' Trash has a plow on the front. Will it protect him from the ramp? Sponsored by Farty Marty, appropriately enough. Haulin' Trash takes flight and goes all the way down into the crates. A massive jump at a high speed, and Haulin' Trash bounces all over the place before finally settling in a weird position. Still a chance of recovery from that, but it doesn't look good right now. So much bouncing. And Ramp Jam is starting to take a toll. Driven by Lone Star, it's Juggernaut. Juggernaut's gonna hit that ramp. Juggernaut takes the same route that Haulin' Trash does, a little bit more direct, and skids along the top of his own teammate upside down, slides into the crates, and the vehicle's too heavy to recover. That thing is out. Taco's gonna take the plunge, sponsored by Sloss Automotive Sachet and Buffet. Taco launches into Juggernaut and bounces off, and bam, upside down, no recovery, bounces off Evil Weevil there. Almost did have a recovery, but that is going to be another elimination for Ramp Jam. Final vehicle in round 1, Blotto Man, sponsored by Stump's Tree Farm. Blotto Man does what none of the other vehicles could. Flies all the way down, bounces around, hits the crates, and recovers. Amazing recovery right there for Blotto Man. Ram Jam's got to be happy with Blotto Man showing that level of survivability. And in round 1 of the very first custom tournament of Junkyard Joust, 12 vehicles have been eliminated. Let's take a look at the aftermath. Looks like Truck and Roll was hit the hardest in round 1 with 4 eliminations. Team Titties down 3, the Ram Jam's down 2, Thunder Hollow also down 2, and the Dogfighters looking good with only 1 elimination in that round. We're gonna get right into round 2 as Jack's gonna take his place on the track. If you're wondering what makes a custom car custom, well, it could be anything down to the paint or alterations to the body. It could be added weight, swapping the tires. Just about any change to your basic vehicle means it's custom. Blotto Man's up now. Blotto Man slots in behind Jack, almost gets Jack lifted off the track, but can't quite do it. And now it's Chimichanga. Chimichanga pushes Blotto Man into the back of Jack. Blotto Man bounces, tips, and goes over sideways. That could be it for Blotto Man unless he gets lucky. Good hit by Chimichanga. Booby trap. Booby trap annihilates Chimichanga, just smashes it into the back of Jack, and Chimichanga is stunned. Turned over upside down off the track. Booby trap's got to be careful here though, gone curbside. Last remaining vehicle for truck and roll, it's the Heavy Wrecker. Not quite as heavy as it used to be. Heavy Wrecker gets booby trapped. Booby trap almost tips over, but Heavy Wrecker just can't handle the hit. Sideways on the track, still a chance of recovery if you're on the track. Heaviest car on the Dogfighters, Duke. Duke slams into everybody, and Heavy Wrecker is tossed up into the front, tips over sideways. Meanwhile, Blotto Man makes an amazing recovery after a push from Booby Trap, and a lot going on right there. We're gonna end up with a recovery and potentially an elimination. BH Big Truckus. Big Truckus slams Duke sideways, still on the track. Duke could recover from this, but that is a heavy car, and Big Truckus just manhandled it. Fair game. Fair game slaps the back of Big Truckus, and Big Truckus pushed sideways off of Duke. Duke, meanwhile, makes a recovery, and Fair Game flips over on its head. A lot of cars recovering after it looks like it's over for them. Ghoul Bus. The Ghoul Bus makes a big hit, and what did I just say? 2 vehicles now recover after that hit. That's the opposite of what you're supposed to do here. You'd think a big vehicle like that would cause more damage, but in this case, it actually helped 2 vehicles. Buddy. Buddy pushes the Ghoul Bus forward. Ghoul Bus bounces back, knocks Fair Game off the track to safety, and now Buddy's got to survive a hit from the ramp jam. Buddy does that, stays locked in. Ramp Jam sets up that ramp yet again. Can Ramp Jam do what it did last round and start taking cars down? APB is gonna take that ramp. And they're gonna have to put an APB out on APB because APB is eliminated. Crashed over by the crates, bounces several times, but cannot make a recovery. First casualty for Ramp Jam, Lily. Lily cannot get under Ramp Jam, goes all the way down to the crates, bounces, and is upside down. Hard to tell with that vehicle, but that is definitely upside down as it stands. And Lily was the final car of round 2, so no more chances for any of these vehicles to recover. 4 eliminations in that round, and we've just lost our first team of the custom tournament. Let's take a look at the aftermath. Ram Jams didn't lose a car in that round. Team Taddees lost 1, Thunder Hollow lost 2, Dogfighters lost 1, and Truck and Roll is out. Though they had a good run, or should I say runs. The field is narrowing as we enter round 3, and now here's a little luck of the draw for the Ram Jams. Ramp Jam is up first, slotting into place, and that jump is gonna play a part in this entire round, potentially, unless somebody can break that ramp. Buddy's gonna give it another go for the Dogfighters. Buddy does actually manage to stop the ramp this time, slides into it, and that thing in the front of the car has to be designed for this exact purpose. Scoops up Ramp Jam and may have prevented the ramp. Let's see what happens when 117 grams of Ghoul Bus collides with them. Ghoul Bus pushes into both vehicles, that knocks them both around. Not playing around is Ghoul Bus. Ramp Jam is knocked sideways. Buddy is knocked off the track, sacrificing himself to stop that ramp. And what a hit from Ghoul Bus. Fair game. Fair Game slaps into place behind Ghoul Bus. That ramped vehicle is still upside down. Could make a recovery, but it's not looking good. Blotto Man. Blotto Man knocks Fair Game upside down. That vehicle has somehow survived up until this point. Sometimes it likes to do that, I think, and then it gets tossed off the track and survives somehow. It's got to survive to keep Thunder Hollow in this match. The undercutting power of Jack now for the Dogfighters. Jack slides under Blotto Man. Blotto Man makes a very nifty recovery, bouncing off the top of Jack and going to the right. Meanwhile, Ramp Jam wobbles off the track, couldn't quite make a recovery, and it's not looking good for that vehicle. Booby Trap. Another big hit from Booby Trap, and this time Fair Game cannot make the recovery. We're looking at another potential team elimination here, and Jack tries to get under that bus but can't quite do it. BH Big Truckus. Big Truckus tosses the cars around a little bit but doesn't get any solid eliminations. Booby Trap and Ghoul Bus could be in danger here. Here comes Duke. Duke tries to slide underneath Big Truckus and actually does it. A little bit of a bounce, not really a slide under. Big Truck is forced off the track and sideways, and somehow Booby Trap goes sideways and stays alive. That was the final car of the round. We got some serious eliminations in this round, 4 of them in fact, and another team is out. It's coming down to the wire. Let's take a look at the aftermath. The Ram Jam suffered 2 losses on that one. Team Tadis did not lose a vehicle. Thunder Hollow made a good go of it, but they are out, and the Dogfighters down to 2. Round 4, Duke's gonna start us off for the Dogfighters. As Duke takes his place on the track, I wanted to let you know that Junkyard Joust has a Discord where people hang out and talk about all things diecast, and you can get previews of upcoming matches, and you can even bet on these matches just for fun. Link to the Discord is in the description. Booby Trap. Booby Trap hits a wall and is a victim of its own force, tips over sideways, too powerful for its own good. Maybe it had something to do with that spoiler too on Duke. Blotto Man. Blotto Man almost flips over, hitting the back of Booby Trap, but manages to keep it level and locked in. Jack. Jack gets under Blotto Man. Blotto Man, look at the way this thing rolls and then rolls some more and looks like it's not gonna make it, and yet at the very end it just stops and turns over, survives. That's how you do it, folks, right there. You want your team to stay in the match? You gotta survive. Ghoul Bus, final vehicle of round 4. Ghoul Bus has too much power, too much weight, flips over because of its own power, cannot break the line, and Team Tadis has just eliminated itself from this match. They did some serious damage along the way, but it's over. And with that, the Ram Jams still have 1. They survived. Dogfighters still have 2. Those 2 teams are gonna move on. Great work by all the competitors in this match. It was a joy to see. Congrats to the Ram Jams and the Dogfighters. They're going to move on to the finals. My plan is to alternate custom joust and regular Junkyard Joust every other week, so keep an eye out for the next custom joust in a couple weeks. Thanks for watching, everybody, and please subscribe if you're new to this channel. I'd love to have you on board. And please become a patron if you want to support this show. You can even get a car with your sponsorship name on it. See you next time on The Joust. In this match, we've got 3 vehicles that are almost 200 grams. We've got a lot of ramps. It's gonna be insane. Hi everybody, I'm Aaron Yonda. Welcome to the Junkyard Joust Customs Tournament. Here are the 5 teams: Carthulu, Totaled Out Towing, Baby Brigade, Skull Riders, and Ragtag Racing. This is gonna be nuts. Let's head into the garage and see what we got. First up, it's the Baby Brigade from G4 Diecast Racing. Don't let the bright colors fool you. These cars are dangerous. And so are those babies. I wonder if Baby Cookie knows them. Up next, it's Skull Riders from NDR. They've got some heavy vehicles on this team and some good undercutting ability. Ragtag Racing, also very heavy vehicles and a couple of undercutters. One of them trying to escape the platform. Beware Carthulu, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. This is a madness-inducing team. Should be interesting to see what powers they possess. And this is Totaled Out Towing, a team of tow trucks, TOT. Let's head out into the junkyard and joust. It appears Baby Brigade have brought extra babies, and they're hanging out over by Baby Cookie right now. I don't know if Baby Cookie knows these babies, but I have a feeling she's going to get to know them. There are babies hanging out on all of the officiating crew, the Evil Weevils. I assume they will not be influenced by those babies when they are making calls on the field. And our Track Buffer Evil Weevil, sponsored by Track Buffer LLC. Even a baby on that one. That's going to be a dangerous spot to be when Carthonian comes down, sponsored by Sloss Automotive Sachet and Buffet. Carthonian heads down the track, slams into Evil Weevil, takes its place down at the end of the track as the baby tumbles all over. Running order is up, randomly determined. The order the cars go down in, also randomly determined. Here comes Repo Duty, sponsored by Chemical Knight. Repo Duty flips right off the back of Carthonian. What a weird reaction to that car. And that little double tap sends Repo Man careening off the track upside down. Our first casualty in this match if he stays upside down. Up first for the brigade, it's Phaeton, sponsored by Dr. Gonzo. Phaeton slices under Carthonian. Carthonian gets booted, goes sideways. Phaeton backs down the track. First chance to see whether these ramps are going to play a big role in this match. Up first for the Skull Riders, it's Bed OLED, 197 grams, sponsored by Bentley's Brakes and Bumpers. Bed OLED leaps off the back of Phaeton, bounces on the track, and then goes off the edge, but then something very weird happens. Bed OLED is so heavy, it started to twist the track. And if Phaeton doesn't slide off, we've got an angled ramp. This is something I've never seen before, and it is going to affect the outcome of this match. There's no doubt about it. Solaire now for Ragtag, sponsored by PriceX Private Parts. Solaire cannot get under Phaeton, slides off to the right, smashes into the crates, almost lands it, but can't pull it off. Carthonian recovered last run when Bed OLED smashed into it. Wow, look at this car. Shoggoth Mobile, sponsored by Jenkies Velma. The Shoggoth Mobile goes right off the ramp, goes immediately into the crates, and flips over sideways. Not a huge surprise. That's probably the most top-heavy vehicle we've ever seen in the junkyard. Maybe it's the strange influence of this Carthulu team that has caused the track to twist like this. I have no idea. Heavy Hitcher, sponsored by Farty Marty. Heavy Hitcher does not go off the ramp, actually pushes Phaeton forward, but not heavy enough to stay locked in, especially at this angle, and that's going to be another elimination for Totaled Out Towing. Imagine Creature from the Black Lagoon with 2 ramps. That's Low Flow, sponsored by Jedi. And somebody finally gets under Phaeton. Unfortunately, it's his own teammate, and they both go off to the side. Low Flow losing the front of its ramp, or at least a chunk of it, flies off into the junkyard. Right now, it looks like the biggest threat to Baby Brigade is themselves. Talbot Largo now, sponsored by DYW Production Labs. The Talbot completely clears the track and bounces backwards and clears itself off the track as well, unfortunately upside down. And look at what just happened on that hit. Both of the Baby Brigade have righted themselves, and Bed OLED is now sideways. Not a great result for the Skull Riders, but at least the track might be fixed. Silver Bullet now, sponsored by Jason's Bits Boys. Silver Bullet rockets into the safety rail, bounces backwards and goes curbside, starts to flatten it back out again, but the track is still warped. This has just been chaos. Flying Polyp now for Carthulu, sponsored by the Miskatonic Automotive Club. The Polyp waddles into Silver Bullet, and I don't even know how that's possible. Silver Bullet flips around and is now pointing the other direction. Not a bad position to be in for a car with a low front like that. Toe Jam, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Toe Jam makes a nice hit, and Flying Polyp goes flying over the top of Silver Bullet. Hasn't tipped over yet, though, is balancing precariously, and Toe Jam is curbside. Next up for the Baby Brigade, Hammered Coupe, sponsored by Judy Collins. Hammered Coupe lofts Toe Jam into the air, lands upside down next to that baby. Silver Bullet somehow makes a recovery and lands back in the same position after doing a complete 360. Silver Bullet refusing to give up that position. Here comes a heavy undercutter, the Scoop Coupe, sponsored by Hey Hey's Hatchback Hanger. The Scoop Coop flings Hammered Coop off the track, off the ramp of Silver Bullet, over the safety rail, upside down, and clears the track yet again. These heavy vehicles constantly clearing the track every time they go down. Silver Bullet forced to give up position finally, and the eliminations are stacking up. Here comes 187 grams Invader, sponsored by Ellis Wurtenberger. Invader continues the trend of clearing the track. Scoop Coop, 100 grams of car, just gets manhandled. Paint and metal chips flying everywhere from that destructive hit. I'm starting to get the feeling there's not going to be a lot of cars left at the end of this round. Next up for Cthulhu, it's Deep One, sponsored by TJG. Deep One pushes into Invader, and we actually have 2 cars on the track for at least a few seconds. Maybe we'll even be able to keep 3 on the track. It's Rig Wrecker, sponsored by Regal Radio. Rig Wrecker does slot in nicely. 3 vehicles lined up. I assume they'll all be immediately annihilated by Swoop Coop, sponsored by Chone. Swoop Coop gets under 2 of them, cannot get all the way down. Rig Wrecker takes the brunt of that hit and is tossed off the track sideways. Deep One nearly gets ramped off the track, but is just heavy enough to stick the landing. Another heavy truck, the 70 Dodge Power Wagon, 132 grams, sponsored by Stump's Tree Farm. Power Wagon launches into the crates and lands down on the end of the track by its teammate Beta Lead, and Deep One slowly and mysteriously tries to exit the track, almost makes it. Chevy Astro Van, sponsored by Hasty Productions, another heavy vehicle. The Astro Van is so heavy it pushes the Swoop Coop off, but it still goes off the ramp and flips right over and actually rights toe jam at the same time. So now Totaled Out Towing have a guy right side up, which they're thankful for. Here comes Cthulhu, sponsored by Tim the Bear Neal. Cthulhu trips on the Swoop Coop and lands on its head, flips over upside down, very top heavy, probably not coming back from that hit. Next up for Totaled Out Towing, it's Fastbed Hauler, sponsored by Sicken. Fastbed Hauler glances off the back of the Swoop Coop and now will not be able to set up that ramp. Not only that, but now Fastbed Hauler has to take a hit from the biggest vehicle in this match. Backslider, 199 grams, sponsored by Hendricus Heavy Hauling. Is it the babies that make it heavy? Backslider clears the track again and sets up a devastating ramp right at the front. It's going to be impossible to dislodge that vehicle, and now all the cars are going to be ramping. There are very few right side up cars right now. A lot of Baby Brigade cars are right side up, and they're all kind of hanging out together. I don't see any surviving cars for Ragtag or the Skull Riders right now, and they have each 1 car left in this round. They got to survive this ramp if they want to stay in the match. First one to take the dive is going to be Shadow Jet 2 for the Skull Riders, sponsored by Sean and Patrick Hogan. Shadow Jet cannot stop the ramp, goes off and almost flips over, but right now is basically right side up. If it can stay in that position, the Skull Riders got a survivor. Final car of the round, 70s Van, 162 grams, sponsored by Brendan Walsh. The 70s Van hits the ramp and goes straight into the crates and takes Shadow Jet 2 along with it. Turns it upside down, lands, almost makes it right side up, but then gets foiled right at the end. And I think we just saw the elimination of 2 teams with that hit. Some of the weight on these cars impressive, but some of these teams are their own worst enemies. Taking a look at the field, 17 eliminations. I think we just broke a Junkyard Joust qualifier record. I don't think there's ever been that many eliminations before. Absolute devastation. 2 teams eliminated. We got a close call here with the Baby Brigade. Looks like that car is out, and we've even got a little damage to one of the Totaled Out Towing vehicles. Let's take a look at the aftermath. Cthulhu only lost 2. Totaled Out Towing managed to stay in it with 1. And Baby Brigade only lost 1. Right now, they are looking like the team to beat in this event. Skull Riders and Ragtag Racing both eliminated. If one more team gets eliminated, this match is over. Before we move on to round 2, though, we've got a little special celebration. Junkyard Joust turns 2 years old this week, and to celebrate, the one and only Winnebago is going to drive at full speed into a giant cupcake. As you can see, we've laid out a giant tarp, which will hopefully make cleanup a little easier. Happy birthday to Junkyard Joust. Winnebago, A nice hit there by Winnebago, flips the cupcake upside down, smears frosting all over the track, and then drives it down to beyond the tarp onto the grass. Exactly what I didn't want to happen. Thanks, Winnebago. Thanks to all of you for joining me on this ride. I'm glad you're here. And now on with the Joust, round 2, a round that almost didn't happen. Here comes Backslider to start off for the Baby Brigade. Backslider carves its way under Evil Weevil, and he ends up on the ramp on the other side. Still going to be a bit of a buffer now for the next vehicle to come down. Deep One's going to take the plunge. Deep One knocks Evil Weevil off and then does exactly what that ramp is designed to do. Flips over and can't quite right itself. That could be an elimination right there for Cthulhu. Totaled out Towing's only hope, Toe Jam. Let's see if that plow on the front of Toe Jam can protect it from the ramp. And it cannot. Toe Jam goes right off the ramp. It's so low. Toe Jam flips over, cannot right itself. Right now it doesn't look good for Totaled Out Towing, but that vehicle did right itself in round 1, so it could happen again. It'll be interesting to see how these Baby Brigade vehicles fare against each other. Hammered Coop's gonna start first here. Hammered Coop flies off the ramp and shears off one of the babies in the process. That baby is gone. Somehow Hammered Coop manages to land this, spin around, and make a recovery. Unbelievable. Wow, what a hit. Carthonian's up. Carthonian lofts into the crates and lands upside down. That ramp proving deadly yet again. And yet somehow the Baby Brigade's vehicles have all been able to survive their own ramps. Truly an astounding feat. Now let's see if Low Flow can survive Backslider. Low Flow cannot get under, but somehow makes the leap and jumps. More pieces flying everywhere. I don't even know what vehicles those are coming off of, but somehow Low Flow lands upright. Unbelievable recovery there. Flying Polyp. Flying Polyp meets the same fate as every car on its team has in this round. Flips over, cannot quite make a recovery next to Low Flow. And right now, both of the other teams are out. If no one on the other two teams makes a recovery, we'll have to go to the points chart to see who survives. Phaeton. Phaeton also goes off that ramp and makes another insane recovery. Just flips upside down and somehow does a perfect 360, lands perilously on top of other cars, but survives. Baby Brigade proving a dominating force in this match, and they are definitely going to be a team to watch out for in the final. Taking a look at the aftermath, it's all Baby Brigade. Every other vehicle wiped off the face of the junkyard. Taking a look at the total points, Cthulhu had more cars alive longer, and they're going to get to move on. Congrats to both winning teams. That was one of the fastest victories we've had on Junkyard Joust so far. And it just goes to show that anything can happen in these custom events. We've got a regular Junkyard Joust next week, then 2 weeks from now, another custom event. Thank you to RedlineDerby.com for being the place I set up the custom joust. I'll be setting up a couple of Apocalypse Joust events over there very soon. If you'd like to see your name on some of these cars as a sponsor, become a patron right now. Patreon.com/JunkyardJoust. Thank you to all my patrons for your support. See you next time on Junkyard Joust. In the last episode of the custom tournament, we had a record-shattering 17 eliminations in round 1. Could it happen again? Welcome to the Junkyard Joust, everybody. I'm Aaron Yonda. Here are the teams. Only 2 of them will be moving on to the final. We've got the Malachi Brothers, Team Beaverworks, 3 Bash Brothers, Sock Hop Slammers, and the Cash Money Boys. Taking a closer look at our teams, this is the Sock Hop Slammers sent in by Indiana Diecast Racing. The Malachi Brothers, sponsored by Arnold's Drive-In. Watch out, Fonz. The Cash Money Boys have a heavy team and some great undercutting potential. And even a ramp. From Beaverworks Diecast Racing, it's Team Beaverworks. This team has a lot of good variety. And here are the 3 Bash Brothers. Looks like each of the Bash Brothers has their own vehicle, plus a couple more. Let's head out to the Junkyard and Joust. Round 1, starting off with the Malachi Brothers 55 Chevy, sponsored by Beaks Busted Barn Finds. Ooh, in true Malachi style, the first Malachi brother just flips over after hitting the track buffer and goes sideways. Not over yet for that vehicle, but that's a rough start. First up for Team Beaver Works, Boxed Beaver, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. Boxed Beaver knocks the Malachi upright again. Nice recovery. Then Boxed Beaver kind of gets snagged on the track. I had to grind down the sides of the vehicle a little bit to make sure it fit on the track. Looks like maybe a couple more bits need to be trimmed off. BB2 now for the 3 Bash Brothers. Driver, JJ Smooth. JJ Smooth plows the BB2 into the back of the Boxed Beaver, unsticks it and pushes it up to the front. First up for the Sock Hop Slammers, it's the Anglia Panel Truck Dragster, driven by Josh Miller. A solid punch to the back of BB2, and BB2 is curbside. The Boxed Beaver retains its position. Up for the Cash Money Boys, That Other Girl, sponsored by Chris and Kat's Casa de Chaos. That Other Girl a little front heavy, and the ramp does not quite get into position. Does force that Anglia Dragster, though, up curbside. Malachis are sending down the 52 Hudson, sponsored by Stump's Tree Farm. A pretty light tap by the Hudson, and it manages to set the ramp back up. Anglia Dragster almost pushed off the track, and now that Hudson is going to be taking a flying leap. Now up for Beaver Works, Beaver Hammer 99 grams, sponsored by Sloth's Automotive Sachet and Buffet. Beaver Hammer lives up to its name and knocks that Hudson skyward. Somehow, inexplicably, the Hudson hits the crates, goes up to level 6 on the way there, and then manages to make a recovery. Amazing job there. Unfortunately, Beaver Hammer flips over sideways, but does manage to end the dragster on the way. Looks like that ramp on That Other Girl is in full effect. Muscle Bunny's next up for 3 Bash Brothers. Driver is Karate Joe. Muscle Bunny bounds off the ramp and does not have a good time. Flips over, hits the crates, and tips upside down. But now That Other Girl is curbside, and that ramp might not be as effective. 57 Chevy is up next, driven by Marcus Firegun. The Chevy slams into that ramp, does not take it, but takes the opportunity to get off the track. And now That Other Girl is sideways on the track. And she's gonna have to take a heavy hit from her own teammate Cash Money himself, 166 grams, sponsored by the Miskatonic Automotive Club. And a huge hit by Cash Money, and the ramp buckles and pieces fly off of it, yet somehow it still stays attached. That Other Girl pinned between both vehicles, and BB2 upside down. A huge hit from Cash Money. Up next, 59 Chevy, sponsored by Mark the Music Lover. The Chevy plants itself behind Cash Money, cannot move that giant vehicle. And now that Chevy is going to get undercut by the Beaverari, sponsored by Chemical Knight. The Beaverari gets right under, the Chevy goes up in the air, spins over twice, and lands upside down. The back of that Beaverari flipping up in the air, and stuff is flying everywhere. It might be leftovers from that ramp, I'm not sure. We've got a lot of brothers on the track today. BB3's up next for the 3 Bash Brothers, driven by Baby Richie. And somehow Baby Richie drives underneath the Beaverari, almost gets under Cash Money himself, but can't quite do it. Still takes down the Beaverari, and that is a big takedown. Nice hit. Sock Hop Slammers are sending down a Live 55, driven by Kara Miller. Live 55 makes a hit, but then starts to go off the edge, gets curbside, could be dangerous. That Other Boy's up next, sponsored by Sicken, 129 grams. Be interesting to see what the plow on this thing can do. A Live 55 plowed right off the track, and yet somehow manages to stay alive, gets flipped over after that nasty hit. That Other Boy, though, so heavy, not able to stay on the track after reaching the line of cars, and flips over upside down. Now the Malachi brothers sending down the 57 Cadillac, sponsored by Ellis Wurtenberger. The Cadillac finishes off That Other Boy and starts to push BB3 more off the track. Now up for Team Beaverworks, Beaver E, sponsored by Judy Collins. Nice undercutting hit from the Beaver E, and it takes out the Cadillac, pushes B3 off the track. Great hit. Here comes Rescue Bunny for the Bash Brothers, driven by Speed Lely. A powerful hit by Speed Lely, and Beaver E is actually broken in half. The car separated into two pieces, completely disasterized. A devastating hit from Rescue Bunny, and that car is in trouble right now. As the rule stands, if the bottom half of the car with the wheels stays alive, that half of the car can come back, but the top half is gone. Here comes Racing Jason in shoebox for the Sock Hop Slammers. Racing Jason rear ends Rescue Bunny. Rescue Bunny flips over, looks like it's gonna make a graceful recovery, but then bounces and flips upside down. Took a bad bounce off Muscle Bunny. Next up for Cash Money Boys, That Girl, sponsored by Chome. That girl boots Shoebox off the track. Shoebox gets tossed upside down on top of a bunch of other vehicles. That girl locks it in with that ramp in place, and what's left of Beaver E is still on the track, but it could get lifted by that plow. 59 Cadillac, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Cadillac goes right off the ramp. It works flawlessly, and the Cadillac actually looks like it's gonna make a recovery, but again hits Muscle Bunny, makes it to a height of 6 on the way there, and can't quite land it. Agonizingly close, but then spins off sideways. Agent Y, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling for Team Beaverworks. A big heavy car hits the ramp, goes flying all the way down to the crates, makes a bunch of leaps and bounds all over the place, and then uses the Cadillac as a landing spot and makes a recovery. Now that is how you do it when a ramp is in play. BB1's up now for the Bash Brothers, driven by Riot Isaac. BB1 gets some great height off the back of that ramp. Wow, look at that thing go. It makes it all the way up to a height of 7. Highest so far in this match. Doesn't mean anything, it's just for fun, but still, that's pretty impressive that that ramp managed to get that thing up that high. And now Beaver E is starting to get pushed, but manages to stay on the track with what remains of its vehicle. Plymouth Fury now for the Sock Hop Slammers, driven by Dirty Murray. That ramp takes another victim as Dirty Murray flies up and over all the cars on the field. He reaches a 6 on the height bar, not quite the 7 that BB1 attained, but pretty close. Not even a chance of recovery there. The car just lands straight on its head. Final car of this tumultuous round, That Boy for the Cash Money Boys, sponsored by Farty Marty. That boy hits that girl and goes off the ramp, goes all the way up to the front, wipes out, also wipes out that girl. That boy and that girl have just canceled each other out. And that is gonna be tough for the Cash Money Boys. Big loss right there for losing both of those vehicles right on the last car. Well, they've got no one to blame but themselves. This was another crazy round. 16 cars eliminated. Doesn't beat the record, but wow, look at the devastation. This car split in half. The Beaver E is coming back, but only half of it. Round 1 aftermath. Cash Money down to 1. 3 Bash Brothers down to 1. Malachi Brothers and Sock Hop Slammers both down to 2, and Team Beaverworks looking all right at 3, or basically 2.5 cars. We're heading straight into round 2 of this joust. No teams eliminated yet. Agent Y up first for Beaverworks. Agent Y had a spectacular recovery last round. Gets to go down first this time. Randomly determined starting order and randomly determined when the cars go down. Sock Hop Slammers got 2 left. 57 Chevy. The 57 Chevy hits Agent Y at top speed, and the top half of the Chevy comes off completely. Whew, boy, that is 2 cars now that have been almost completely destroyed by this joust. Only half of the Chevy left, but if it's right side up at the end of this round, it's gonna keep going. 55 Chevy now for the Malachi Brothers. The 55 Chevy finishes off what's left of the 57 Chevy and then promptly drives off the track and goes right upside down. Nice hit, but you gotta stay on the track, and that's a rough loss for the Malachi. Here comes BB3, the last remaining vehicle for the Bash Brothers. The back of Agent Y proves deadly again as BB3 bounces back and just flops off the track sideways. If it stays like that, we are looking at the elimination of one of our teams. Only surviving car for the Cash Money Boys, Cash Money himself. It's a big one. Cash Money takes it to the back of Agent Y, but Agent Y is tough. Takes that hit like a champ, goes curbside, but is still going. Now here comes Boxed Beaver for Beaverworks. Cash Money is so heavy that Boxed Beaver can barely even do anything to it, just pushes it forward a little bit. Agent Y gets almost off the track. Looks like Agent Y might be in good shape to survive here. Alive 55's name very appropriate here. The Chevy completely destroyed. And Alive 55 stays alive so far. Locks it in on the track. Only 2 cars left in the round. One of the Malachi brothers coming down, the 52 Hudson. The Hudson is so light, it doesn't do anything to the cars on the track, just bounces off of Alive 55, but stays locked in, so that's good. And that Hudson's probably safe, because all that's left is the remains of Beaver E. Not gonna do much damage, and no, it does not, but it stays alive, despite barely being a car at all. And that is going to cap off round 2. It looks like we're going to lose 3 more cars, and our first team has been eliminated. So much damage. Let's take a look at the aftermath. Our first casualty in this match, the 3 Bash brothers could not hold on. Malachi, Slammers, and Cash Money are down to 1. Team Beaverworks is still looking good at 3. Well, we made it to round 3 this week, so that's something. First up, it's gonna be the car that used to be Beaver E and is now just some wheels. It slides to a halt behind Evil Weevil, can't really do anything. Kind of low to the ground, though. Could be a safe position for this car. We'll see what happens when it takes a hit from Alive 55. Alive 55 pushes into the remaining car of Beaver E, gets under and pushes it upside down. It's hard to tell, but yes, that is upside down. And now those cars are gonna get a big hit, 166 grams of Cash Money himself. Cash Money himself, oh no! Cash Money slides into all the cars, but then bounces back and rolls over. Tries to maintain his balance, but can't quite do it and flips over. Somehow Alive 55 stays on the track and is still alive. 52 Hudson. 52 Hudson stays alive for the Malachi. They needed that, and if I'm not mistaken, looking at that Alive 55, I think that car might be coming apart now, just like its compatriot. Here comes Agent Y. Pretty big hit, 92 grams. Agent Y slams into the Hudson. It goes off the back. Nice job there by the Hudson, causing a ramp effect, but it doesn't take out Agent Y. And yep, that car is now coming apart, just like that 57 Chevy. That's 3 cars now that are almost destroyed in this joust. And there's still one left to come down. It's Boxed Beaver for Beaverworks. Boxed Beaver knocks the Hudson off the track. The Hudson tries to stay but can't. Flips and trips on Evil Weevil and goes upside down. And yet somehow Alive 55 still on the track, even though it's broken into pieces. But it stayed right side up, and that is what is important, because that means the Sock Hop Slammers are gonna move on. Taking a quick look at Alive 55, it is definitely coming apart at the seams. How did this happen? Well, it took a pretty big hit there in round 1, and then this hit is what did it in from Cash Money himself. The car just took a beating. Taking a look at our aftermath. Team Beaverworks moving on with 3 cars left. The remnants of Beaver E having actually made a recovery in that last round, and the Sock Hop Slammers team are moving on because of Alive 55. Congrats to our winners, or what's left of them anyway. Interesting to note that all the cars that were destroyed today are on the 2 teams that won. Lucky for them, they will have time to repair those cars as best they can before the final. Wow, last time it was 17 eliminations. This time 3 cars were brutally destroyed. This customs tournament has been wild. I hope you are enjoying it. Thanks everybody who submitted cars for this contest. Really appreciate you being a part of it. We're certainly going to do it again. Don't forget to join the Junkyard Joust Discord and become a patron if you'd like to support this show. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on The Joust. So far, most of the custom qualifiers have been record-breaking massacres. Will this one be different? Only one way to find out. Welcome to the Junkyard Joust. I'm Aaron Yonda. Tonight, it's the custom tournament qualifier number 4, featuring Numbskull Racing, Diner Dashers, Rust A Cheese, Golden Owl, and the Puff Bunny Hitters. Let's head into the garage and take a closer look at these teams. First up, it's the Diner Dashers, sent in by Indiana Diecast Racing. These cars already participated in a race over there, so they're a little beat up, but they're ready to go. Next up, it's Numbskull Racing. They've got some heavy hitters, they've got some agility, and they've got a Lamelt. Rust A Cheese, they've also got some heavy hitters, a ramp, and some good variety here. Here's a nice looking team, it's Golden Owl. They've got a nice variety here, including a car that looks a little bit like if Meatwad was a car. Here's the Puff Bunny Hitters from Puff Racing. They've got some heavy hitters and a couple of buses. Let's head out to the Junkyard and joust. First up, it's gonna be Ain't Fair for Numbskull Racing, sponsored by Chicken Rings Onion Wings. 104 gram bus slams into place. Got a very low front and back on this thing. The running order is up. It's all random. And the order that the cars go down is also random. First up for the Diner Dashers, it's going to be the 56 Ford F100 panel van driven by Fonty Flock. Panel van slams into place. Cars are out at the end of the round if they're sideways or upside down. Right side up, they survive and move on to the next round. We go until there are only 2 teams remaining. Time for some cheesy names. Monterey Jack for Rust A Cheese, sponsored by Chicken Rings Onion Wings. Monterey Jack gets in position and that ramp is now set up. This car's a little light, but we'll see if it can keep that ramp in place. First up for Golden Owl, it's Slim Pickens, sponsored by Ellis Wertenberger. Looks like Slim Pickens is a ramp buster as Slickback gets forced off the track. Wow, there's some pieces flying off there. I don't know what broke. Oh, it looks like something probably off of Monterey Jack. That was a nice hit. Up now for the Puff Bunny Hitters, AAA Bunny, driven by Papa Richie. AAA Bunny wipes out 2 cars on the track, but then also flips over with its own force and slides to a stop on the track. You'd almost call that a triple takedown, but unfortunately AAA Bunny took itself out. Here comes Turtle Shell for Numbskull Racing, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Turtle Shell jostles with the cars on the track. Slim Pickens and AAA Bunny are both getting pushed off. Here's the Hudson Hornet, driven by Maria Harden. Hudson Hornet knocks into Turtle Shell. Turtle Shell finishes off AAA, and the track is definitely set up for some good devastation right about now. Looks like the devastation will be provided by Camembert for Rust A Cheese, sponsored by Chome. 110 gram crunch on the back of Hudson Hornet. Camembert goes flying off the track, does not recover. Turtle Shell balances for just a second, but then flips back over. Notoriously difficult vehicle to eliminate, though not impossible. And an unfortunate elimination there for Rust A Cheese. The Grim Creeper, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. The Grim Creeper fares better than Fast Gassin did just last week. Goes right off the track and flips over. Nice recovery there. That's what you want to see. Broken Bunny for the Puff Bunny Hitters, driven by Twinkie Jake. Broken Bunny gets under the Hornet, knocks Slim Pickens off the track, but Slim recovers, and no eliminations on that hit. Good recovery by Slim. Another vehicle we just saw in the Joust from Numbskull Racing, it's Speedbox, a little heavier than the one that ran in Joust, and this Speedbox causes some good action on the track. Broken Bunny escapes the wrath, flips over, but then flips back right up again, and look at that, across the track, Camembert makes a recovery. Amazing job there. The Hudson Hornet also escaping the damage. Here comes a 55 Chevy, driven by Bad Baron. Bad Baron hits a wall in the shape of Speedbox, flips over and goes right off the track. Rough time right there. And right now, Numbskull has 2 solid vehicles on the track that do not want to move. Cheddar, sponsored by Chemical Knight. Cheddar hits the wall, handles it a little bit better than that Chevy, but now is curbside and in danger. Numbskull creating a numb wall. Interested to see how this vehicle does on the track. It's the Brick, sponsored by Sicken. The Brick breaks through the wall, and Speedbox and Cheddar are tossed off the track. Double kill on that hit. Speedbox sliding along Ain't Fair, almost makes a recovery, but then at the last second tips over upside down. Good hit by the Brick. Up now for the Puff Bunny hitters, Peace Bunny Bus, driven by Misty Grand. Misty slams into the brick, gets the brick up in the air, but the brick proves too heavy to get off the track, and it swamps back down again. Here comes Lamelt for Numbskull Racing, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. Lamelt pushes the Peace Bunny Bus forward. Peace Bunny Bus gets curbside, but then slots back in and is solid. Lamelt has that low fin, could be a problem for the next vehicle. 8 Crate is gonna give it a run, driven by Owen Cooper. 8 Crate hits Lamelt and it ramps it up, goes all the way into the crates, bounces back and cannot get turned over. That's gonna be an elimination for Lamelt, and that is just one of the reasons Lamelt is dangerous. Here comes Blue, 142 grams, sponsored by Chorgoth, the Infinite Horror. Blue leaps off Lamelt and despite being an incredibly heavy vehicle, bounces all the way up to level 6 on the height chart, pushes the Peace Bunny Bus over with the sheer force of it, and then lands upside down. Very top heavy vehicle, wasn't really going to survive, but it did do some damage. Hodor now for the Golden Owl, sponsored by Farty Marty. Hodor slams into Lamelt, does not go off the back of Lamelt, low enough to not go off the fin, and now we've got a real serious ramp set up on the track. The Ooze Coupe, aka Hodor, is known to be deadly in these situations if it can stay in position. Love Bunny Bus is going to take the plunge first, driven by Puff. Puff goes for a ride, look at this, goes all the way down to the crates and flips over. Nice recovery by Puff, survives the Hodor ramp in style, in a bus nonetheless. Nice work there. The Raijin Express might have a low enough front to deal with that ramp, sponsored by Stump's Tree Farm. Raijin cannot handle the ramp, but it does push it up on Lamelt, and then Raijin makes a spectacular recovery down by the crates, flips all the way over. Wow, big square vehicle, and it still manages to make that recovery, and now Hodor is probably in danger right here. Nice work by the Raijin. 49 Merc now for Diner Dashers, driven by Cheyenne Wheeler. Hodor not able to hold the door, but the 49 Merc does go off the ramp, still flips over, tries to make a recovery, but it's too crowded down there to pull it off, but Hodor's ramp is now neutralized. Gouda now, sponsored by Judy Collins. Gouda knocks out Lamelt, doesn't eliminate Lamelt, but gets it off the track, which is a huge achievement. Apparently the front of that car low enough to get under Lamelt somehow, and that threat has been neutralized. Nice job, Gouda. Here comes the Wambulance, sponsored by the Miskatonic Automotive Club. The Wambulance hits Gouda, but Gouda makes a nice recovery, bounces off of Ooze Coupe, slides over, and flips. Good chance of moving on to the next round in that position. Wambulance locked in. Final car of this round, Armor Bunny for the Puff Bunny hitters, driven by William Yums. Armor Bunny hits Wambulance and cannot break the line and suffers because of it, flipping over sideways, eliminating itself. That's going to be the end of round 1, and that's going to bring the elimination tally to 11. Not quite the massacres we've been getting used to with these custom matches, but that's a good thing for these teams. Let's take a look at the aftermath. Numbskull Racing only lost Speedbox. Diner Dashers took a lot of damage, only 1 car left. Rusty Cheese and the Puff Bunny hitters are down to 2. Big story of this match so far, Golden Owl did not lose a single car. Let's hope they can avoid the curse. We're going to start laying the groundwork for round 2 by laying out the brick. The brick slots into place, takes Evil Weevil, our track buffer, right off the track, and then bounces back a ways. Running order is up. Numbskull coming down with Lamelt. Lamelt taps the brick forward, brick bounces backwards into Lamelt, and now they are both about halfway down the track. We'll see if Lamelt's fin is a hazard for the next couple cars coming down. Gouda dealt with this fin last round successfully. Let's see if he can do it again. Gouda cannot do it again, goes off the fin, lands on brick, and then tries to escape the track, gets off to the side, maybe to safety. Still a little precarious right there. Here comes Broken Bunny. Broken Bunny does not go off Lamelt, pushes Lamelt and pushes a bunch of detritus off the track. Lamelt goes all the way up on top of the safety rail. There is stuff flying everywhere. I think it was from last round. And now Lamelt is shunted basically in a neutral position up front. Hudson Hornet. Hudson Hornet, uh-oh, something happened there. Oh, wow. The whole top of the car pops off the chassis, then somehow miraculously lands back on again. And that car is barely holding itself together, literally. Here comes Slim Pickens. Slim Pickens finishes off the Hudson Hornet, or at least half of it. It breaks off completely, and the top of the car is going to be out, but right now the bottom of the car is still in this match. Little peek behind the curtain right there of custom modified cars. These cars must have been in a rough race previous to this. Raijin Express now for Numbskull. Raijin scoops up the chassis of the Hudson Hornet and finishes it off. Puts it down at the end of the track upside down. That's probably going to be it for that car. Slim Pickens makes a nice escape off the side of the track. What's left of the Hudson resting on top of Lamelt. Camembert. Camembert squeezes Broken Bunny off the track. Broken Bunny flips over, then flips again. Nice recovery there. Not so good for Camembert with the force and the weight of that vehicle. Flips over upside down. Made a recovery last time in that position. Will it happen again? Love Bunny Bus. Love Bunny Bus hits the wall and goes right off the side of the track, tumbling over. Still got a chance of recovery in that position. Looks like it's over for Camembert. Hodor. Hodor slots into place, and that does not look promising for any of the cars coming down right now. That ramp is solid behind Raijin Express. This is going to get interesting. If there's any vehicles that can handle that ramp, it would be Ain't Fair. That thing is low to the ground. Ain't Fair kinda handled the ramp, but then flips over with all that weight. Doesn't go off the ramp, but still flips over it and then lands upside down. Tough elimination there for Numbskull. Assuming Ain't Fair can't get back upright, here's the Grim Creeper. Grim Creeper hits the ramp and could be the first casualty for Golden Owl. Goes all the way up to the front, tries to flip it over, but gets stuck, wedged in there. That's gonna be an elimination. Turtle Shell. Turtle Shell, not afraid of that ramp, goes up, hits his face on the crates, flips over, and lands on his feet. Amazing job by that vehicle. Very, very hard to eliminate. Final car of this round is going to be Wambulance. Wambulance does not go off the ramp, hits it and pushes off. Good job there, does not hurt his own team. Taking a look at the field, we've got 5 eliminations in this round, and we are gonna lose our first team tonight. Let's go to the aftermath. Numbskull Racing loses another one. The Diner Dashers are out of this match. Rusty Cheese down to just 1. Golden Owl finally loses 1, and the Puff Bunny Hitters also down to just 1 car. Things starting to get serious here in round 3. Slim Pickens, 4 teams left, 9 cars total. Not quite the massacre that the last 2 matches have been. Couple teams with only 1 car left though, so they have to be careful if they want to stay in this match. Numbskull has 3 left. Here comes Turtle Shell. Turtle Shell hits Slim Pickens and spins around, faces the other direction. He's going to be staring straight at the next car to come down. And it's going to be Broken Bunny for the Puff Bunny Hitters. Broken Bunny, gotta stay alive. Broken Bunny knocks Turtle Shell off. Turtle Shell looks like it could stay upside down for just a second, but then it certainly doesn't. Flips back over again. Keep an eye on that vehicle. It's a survivor. Gouda, final car for Rusty Cheese. Gouda tries to get under Broken Bunny and does it. Broken Bunny goes off, has a good survival technique. Always a little bounce and a flip, and then goes right side up. Slim Pickens on top of Gouda could be in trouble. Here comes the brick. The brick tosses Gouda and Slim Pickens off the track. Slim Pickens gets wedged in front of Gouda. Gouda with a nice recovery, and it looks like there is a slim chance that Slim Pickens is going to come back from this. Oops, indeed. The brick bounces all the way back down the track, potentially in a tough position right there. Here comes Lamelt. Lamelt cannot get under the brick, scoots it up to the front of the track, and now Lamelt is stuck way back on the track. This can be a very vulnerable position depending on which car's coming down next. Hodor's got a chance to strike. Hodor slams Lamelt up into the brick. Lamelt stays locked in, and now Hodor is set up with that ramp. We know that the Raijin Express can handle that ramp. Let's see what happens. Raijin forces Hodor off the track, pushes Lamelt under the brick. No eliminations, but some good action. Final car of the round, Wambulance. Wambulance hits the wall and does not manage to get any more eliminations. Looks like we're only going to lose one car in this round. All of these competitors tough, hard to eliminate. Let's take a look at the aftermath. Golden Owl with the one oops this round, down to 3 now, even with Numbskull racing. Rust A Cheese and the Puff Bunny hitters, even with 1 car apiece. We're heading right into round 4. Starting off with Turtle Shell. Right now, Numbskull and Golden Owl are in the best position to win this match, but the other 2 teams definitely have a chance. We've seen plenty of instances where 1 car takes the win just by staying alive for the entire match. As Wambulance locks it into the track, here comes Gouda. A nudge by Gouda gets Turtle Shell up on the safety rail, but can't make anything else happen. That safety rail could be a tricky place for Turtle Shell. If you're going to eliminate that vehicle, that might be the place. Broken Bunny hurdles into Gouda, knocks Gouda off the track. Gouda looks like they're going to survive for another round. Turtle Shell manages over the safety rail just fine. 2 cars locked in. Here comes Lamelt. Lamelt slides in behind Broken Bunny, sets up that ramp. I'm seeing a lot of damage to the back of Broken Bunny there from Lamelt. Didn't look like that hard of a hit, but it took off some paint. The brick. The brick pushes Lamelt under Broken Bunny, but Broken Bunny is fine. Just flips up a little bit and then makes the landing. The good news for the brick is it can handle that fin of Lamelt and use it as a wedge. Raijin Express. Raijin pushes the brick all the way up to Lamelt. The brick hits Lamelt, stops, does not go onto the back. 4 cars lined up. Broken Bunny makes an escape. Hodor. Hodor, final car of the round, hits the wall of Raijin, and the brick can't do anything. That's going to mean there are no eliminations in this round, and we're going to have to go on to round 5. We've got ourselves a competition, folks. None of the custom matches have gone this many rounds. Let's head right into round 5. Now, because there were no eliminations in the last round, we've asked all the drivers to increase their speed. We're going to see some faster, harder hits, and we're definitely going to see some eliminations. Hodor's going down second this time, potentially going to set up that ramp. If he can handle the increased speed, and he does, Raijin actually gets pushed up on the safety rail a little bit from that impact, but the ramp is in place. We've seen Gouda deal with this ramp. Can Gouda do it again? Ooh, Gouda cannot get under the ramp this time. Goes up into the crates, loses some paint on the way, tries to land it, looks like he's gonna, and then he loses control and flips over, and that is potentially gonna be the end of Rust A Cheese unless a miracle happens. Broken Bunny. Broken Bunny handles the ramp like a champ, goes over Raijin, loses some more paint itself, and is in a fairly decent spot right now. We'll see if he can maintain it. Turtle Shell. Turtle Shell hits the ramp and very predictably makes a great recovery. Looks like he's gonna stay over on his shell, but nope, there he goes back again. Amazing recovery. Numbskull gotta be happy they put Turtle Shell on the team. The brick can handle Lamelt, but can it handle Hodor? The brick takes the ramp, hits the crates really hard and flips over, lands improbably on its side, and stays stuck there. A powerful impact and the brick just stunned on the ground. Crash indeed. We've got a couple eliminations. Here comes Lamelt. Lamelt goes off the ramp and flips over. Hodor has eliminated Lamelt. Tough car to eliminate, but that ramp is in prime position right now, almost unavoidable by any vehicle, and that is a huge elimination for Golden Owl. The loss of Lamelt is always big. Wambulance. Wambulance also can't avoid that ramp, but makes a very adept recovery, lands and puts all the wheels on the ground, plants them down. An eventful round for all the teams. We're gonna lose one team, but there's still 3 in this, so we're going to round 6. Let's take a look at the aftermath. With the loss of Lamelt, Numbskull down to 2, Golden Owl down to 2, and Puff Bunny still in this at 1. And with the loss of Gouda, Rust A Cheese have been sliced out of this competition. We're charging head first right into round 6 with Turtle Shell. Speeds are still going to be at the same level they were at last round. This causes Turtle Shell to go curbside, but as we know with Turtle Shell, probably not going to make a big difference. Hodor going down next. Hodor sets up that ramp, can't get Turtle Shell off the track, but does a good job getting Evil Weevil track buffer off. And now Broken Bunny has to survive that ramp again. Broken Bunny doesn't have it this time, runs out of luck, does a lot of flipping off the crates, and no control right there, and that does it for Broken Bunny. Without a little bit of luck, I don't think that car is going to be recovering. Crygen Express. Crygen hits the ramp, but plows through a bunch of cars at the same time, but then flips over next to Turtle Shell, who survived. That is a big takedown right there. Doesn't look like it's probably gonna matter, but that's still a big deal. Wambulance. Wambulance bounces off of Hodor. Look at this flip, and then lands it. Wow, never would have expected that kind of agility from that vehicle, but man, he almost pushes into Broken Bunny and rights him, but luckily stops himself. And with the elimination of the Puff Bunny hitters, that's going to take us down to 2 teams. Let's take a quick look at the aftermath. Golden Owl looking pretty impressive with 2 remaining, and Numbskull with Turtle Shell. Those 2 teams are going to be our champions, and they are moving on to the final match. There's just 2 custom matches left before the 12-team Battle Royale to decide the final and ultimate winner of the custom tournament. These are all the teams that have made it so far. It's definitely going to be unlike anything we've ever seen here at Junkyard Joust. I hope you'll tune in next week for the next regular Junkyard Joust qualifier. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time on the Joust. Two Lamelts, 2 buses, and the heaviest vehicle in the custom tournament. It's gonna be a wild one, folks. Welcome to the Junkyard Joust. I'm Aaron Yonda. Only 2 of these 5 teams are gonna make it out of this match. The teams are Kings of the North, Arlo Racing, Yeetus Maximus, Big Al's Primary Objective, and Key West Crew. Let's take a closer look. Big Al's Primary Objective has a lot of variety. There's a ramp, there's undercutting, and there's a bruiser. Here is Arlo Racing. Every vehicle on the team has a ramp in the back, and that truck is 200 grams, the heaviest vehicle in this competition. Key West Crew was created by 9-year-old Jack, who's a big fan of Junkyard Joust. Some very interesting modifications on these vehicles. This is Yeetus Maximus from Redline Salvage. There's some undercutting on here, a ramp, and a couple big hitters. And Kings of the North, featuring vehicles from Underdogs Unleashed, Mad Mike's Custom Garage, and Crazy Canuck. Let's head out to the Junkyard and Joust. Starting us off, it's gonna be Lamelt for Yeetus Maximus, sponsored by Chome. Randomly determined running order is up. The cars go down in a random order as well. Now we'll see if the fin on this particular Lamelt has any power to send vehicles flying. Hippie for Key West Crew, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. Hippie blasts into the back of Lamelt. I don't know if that green construction paper played a part in preventing a ramp situation, but now Hippie is curbside and still in danger. First up for Arlo, it's Gas 2, driven by George Surface. Gas 2 knocks Hippie up into the air. Hippie takes a tumble, but manages to make a nice landing. Got tossed around pretty good, but somehow managed to keep it together. Meanwhile, Lamelt got pushed up into the safety area, generally a pretty safe space for Lamelt. As we've seen in the past, Dragster now for King of the North, driven by Blaze. The Dragster hits the ramp on the back of Gas 2, goes flying into the crates and makes a great recovery, lands it flawlessly, and we still have no eliminations in this round. The red one for Big Al's Primary Objective, sponsored by Sicken. The red one cuts underneath that ramp, pushes it into Gas 2, and then pushes Gas 2 up on Lamelt. The low, sharp point at the front of the red one successfully preventing it from going off the ramp. Known in later years as Silver Bullet, it's Large Charge for Yeetus Maximus, sponsored by Judy Collins. And that was indeed a large charge as Gas 2 gets knocked off the track and goes sideways. Red one does not get flipped over, but Large Charge tried, basically grappling the red one off the track. Can't quite get it flipped over. And it looks like we might have our first elimination. Up now for the Key West crew, Blue Golfing, sponsored by Raygull Radio. Blue Golfing smacks into the side of Large Charge, but Large Charge manages to stay upright. It was close, and now Red One is completely off the track to safety. Get ready for a fast and heavy hit from Arlo Racing, Endless Night, driven by Kate. Endless Night clears the track. Blue Golfing goes up into the crates and over sideways, all the way up to a level 6. A nice jaunt up in the sky for Blue Golfing. Large Charge makes it off the track safely, and now Endless Night is set up with that ramp. Let's see if it works out. Endless Night's gonna have to take a hit from the Slambulance, 184 grams, driven by Crazy Canuck. A massive wallop from the Slambulance, and Endless Night goes careening off the track, but it looks like that ramp still had some effect, flipping the Slambulance over and upside down. Slotted into the track pretty nicely, just not right side up. Unnoticed amongst all that chaos, Blue Golfing actually righted itself, got dragged by the dragster, and got turned right side up. This could be the perfect time for the Blues Coupe to set up the ramp, sponsored by Party Marty. Blues Coupe slides into position, a nice gentle tap, and yeah, that ramp is set up, and we're gonna see some devastation right about now. The upside down Slambulance is the perfect foil to keep this ramp in position. First car to take the plunge is Solaire for Yeetus Maximus, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Can it get under? It cannot get under, but wow, look at that. Hits the crates and makes a great recovery. Almost looks like it's gonna go upside down, but then pulls it off at the last second. Here comes Supercar for the Key West crew, sponsored by Ellis Wurtenberger. Supercar hits that ramp, not surprisingly, goes all the way into the crates and bounces back, can't quite make the recovery, and lands upside down on top of Solaire. Up now for Arlo, Hypersonic, driven by Ollie DeVry. Hypersonic lurches off the back of Blues Coupe, hits the crates, and loses its own ramp. It just breaks off completely, and then Hypersonic can't make a recovery. Absolute devastation. Blues Coupe takes another victim. Hypersonic completely upside down. Here comes another Solaire. This one's for Kings of the North, driven by Mad Mike. And the Solaire takes a nice Sunday drive off the back of Blues Coupe up on Slambulance, and then takes the off-ramp down Hypersonic to safety. Pretty good run. Next up for Big Al, Moby D, 154 grams, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. Moby D gets in and out in a hurry, goes off the ramp, hits the crates, and lands on Hippie. Perfect landing, though. Successful recovery off the back of his teammate. Thought Blues Coupe might get dislodged there for a second, but it didn't happen. Greyhound Bus, sponsored by the Miskatonic Automotive Club. Greyhound Bus takes a nice slow jaunt off the ramp, drives over Slambulance, and lands on top of Lamelt. Bit precarious right there, but as of right now, that vehicle is okay. Mile Zero, sponsored by Sloss Automotive Sachet and Buffet. Mile Zero hits that ramp, does not have good luck, hits the crates, goes bobbling all over the place, tries to drive back down the ramp, but gets tripped up on Slambulance and goes over and out. Here comes Cruel Summer, driven by Arlo for Arlo Racing. Even that low plow on the front of Cruel Summer not able to dislodge that ramp, but able to drive over safely and keep Arlo in this match. Maybe the ramp on the back of that thing will get to see some action in the next round. Next up for the Kings, Fished and Chipped, driven by Geddy Lee. Fish and Chip takes the ramp, and there's a big pile now at the end. He twists, he turns, can't find a place to land it, goes over upside down, and that's going to cost Kings of the North one of their vehicles. Up now, it's Dr. Black MD, sponsored by Chicken Rings Onion Wings. Wow, even that incredibly low front on Dr. Black can't get under Blue's coupe. He gets tangled up on top of Cruel Summer and looks to be safe for the moment, but that's not a great position to be in, especially when Airport Rescue, 199 grams, is coming down the track. Sponsored by Chicken Rings, Onion Rings. Airport Rescue yeets itself off the ramp, and wow, did you see the crates wobble when that thing hit them? They were rocking back and forth. Unfortunately, Airport Rescue took itself out, but also took out Dr. Black on the way. Powerful hit, and Blue's coupe is looking a little worse for wear on the back end right now. A Day at the Beach, sponsored by Price X Private Parts. A Day at the Beach hits that ramp, and just like a wave, goes in and comes back out and lands it perfectly, runs over the wall, showing some decent stability right there. Nice one. The heaviest vehicle in this competition, 200-gram Big Bruiser, driven by Lou Hondo. Looks like a ramp protector welded to the front of this thing. Will it be enough? Big Bruiser cannot get under the ramp and hits the crates at full speed. They wobble and shake. Big Bruiser goes flying backwards and somehow flips directly upside down. Wow, a big vehicle and a big hit, but barring a miracle, that thing is out. Yet another massive vehicle, the Big Bang Bus, 176 grams, driven by Blake. Big Bang bounces off the crates, bounces backwards, and uses its length to keep stable. Now it's on the side of Blue's coupe. Will it be able to stay there and stay upright? Here comes Banana Peel for Big Al, sponsored by Bentley's Brakes and Bumpers. Banana Peel takes a light skip off the back of its teammate, perches up on the Slambulance. Not a particularly safe position, unless you just happen to be the last car in the round, which Banana Peel was. That was a slugfest, but not as many eliminations as you might think. Only 10 in the round. Let's see who we lost. Taking a look at the aftermath, it looks like a big chunk of the eliminations were unfortunately on Arlo Racing, down to just one car. Kings of the North and Key West crew each lost 2 vehicles apiece. Edis Maximus and Big Al's primary objective only lost 1. We're gonna kick our way right into round 2, starting off with the red one for Big Al's primary objective. Big Al feeling good about the results of last round, 4 left. As the red one takes position on the track, not quite all the way down to the end. Edis Maximus also with 4 left, sending down the Greyhound bus. The bus slams into the red one, cannot dislodge it. That car is solid. Evil Weevil gets shunted aside, and we got 2 cars locked in. Dragster. Dragster hits the solid metal wall of that bus and can't go anywhere. Time for some waves. It's Day at the Beach. I knew I'd get some interesting vehicles when I started this custom tournament, but I gotta say, I never expected to get a vehicle that was modified with Scotch tape and construction paper. Arlo's last remaining vehicle in the match, Cruel Summer. Solid push from Cruel Summer. Not that cruel of a summer when you've got a day at the beach. And now it looks like this ramp could be all set up. Should be interesting to see how that works. The car that caused all that trouble last round, it's Blue's coupe. Blue's coupe takes the extended ramp on the back of Cruel Summer, flips over, manages to make a nice recovery, but cannot set up its own ramp now. Lamelt's got to deal with that ramp now for Yeetus. Oh, and that is not a sight we see very often. Lamelt going off the ramp and flipping right over, bounces off the top of that wave, gets flipped right over and eliminated. Arlo getting some revenge right now. Solaire for Kings of the North. Solaire hits the ramp, does the same thing, goes right on the top of Lamelt and flips over upside down. Another elimination. Day at the Beach settles into the track, but Solaire got burned. Hippie for Key West. Hippie hits that ramp, bounces off of Day at the Beach, sort of gently let down by his teammate. Wow, that was amazing. That is some great teamwork right there. Moby D. Heavy vehicle, and it causes some damage on its way down to smash into the crates. Dragster goes sideways. Day at the Beach escapes unscathed. Cruel Summer moves up and finds an even better position behind that bus to do some damage. A lot of eliminations in this round already. Here comes the pink Solaire for Edis Maximus. Solaire hits the jump and boosts up into the air, comes down upside down, can't make a recovery, slides off the track. Edis was at 4 cars at the start of this round. Right now they're down 2. Can Cruel Summer survive the Big Bang? The bus hurls itself down to the end of the track, bounces off a Cruel Summer, pushes it off the track partially, lands sideways, almost made a recovery there at the last second. Tough break there for Kings of the North, but they did what no one else has been able to do so far, which is to displace that ramp on the back of Cruel Summer. Blue Golfing for Key West. Despite the ramp being displaced, Blue Golfing gets tossed into the crates and goes over sideways, bounces off the Big Bang bus. And I don't think there's going to be a miracle recovery this time. There's still one Lamelt left in the match. It's Banana Peel. And Cruel Summer continues to avenge his teammates. Banana Peel slips off the jump, goes upside down. Another Lamelt elimination off the back of that car. It's unheard of. But anything can happen in this custom tournament. Large charge, final car of the round. And that was an unbelievable hit by Large Charge, flipping and flopping all over the place, spinning at the last second, and somehow riding the Big Bang bus. How was that even possible? That thing, there should have been no way it could have recovered. I can't even believe what I'm seeing. And unfortunately, on the way out, Large Charge took out Cruel Summer. And that is going to eliminate Arlo from this match. But what a way to go. Laying waste to the competition. Almost as many eliminations in that round as the first round. 9 cars gone. Arlo Racing has been eliminated from the match. Kings of the North somehow held on with the miracle recovery of the Big Bang bus. Yeetus still got a bus in the match as well. Big Al's primary objective and Key West crew both have 2 left, and we're down to just 6 vehicles. Junkyard Jousters work up a mean thirst. That's why they drink Junkyard Juice. Joust your thirst today. Now available in Sour Blue Rustberry. Back to the action. Round 3 is in full effect. Blues Coupe starting us off for Big Al's primary objective. The only remaining ramp in this match, and I think these other teams are going to have a tough time eliminating it, but we shall see. Hippie for Key West. Hippie hits the ramp and goes all the way down to the end of the track, bounces and bounces again. That car has had amazing luck with recoveries and is doing a great job for the Key West crew, bouncing right off to safety. Fresh off that miracle recovery, the Big Bang bus has got to survive this ramp now. Big Bang bus can't do it, flies off and goes straight sideways and into elimination land. I don't think anything's going to get that thing back upright again, but you never know. Yeetus Maximus down to just the Greyhound bus. The Greyhound makes an attempt to take out Blues Coupe, but can't quite do it. Jumps on top of it, gets over, makes it almost off the track. Not out of danger yet. Should be interesting to see how the red one performs against its own teammate with that low front. The red one uses that low blade on the front of the car to prevent rampage. If primary objective make it out of this match, it should be interesting to see how that vehicle performs against some of the ramped vehicles we've seen so far in this custom tournament. Day at the Beach sliding off the back of the red one, and the Greyhound bus manages to stay upright. And that was the final car of this round. Just 1 elimination. Let's take a quick look at the aftermath. Looks like we're down to 3 teams. Kings of the North and Arlo both out now. Yeetus still at 1, and Big Al's primary objective and Key West crew still at 2. It's still anybody's match as we head into round 4. Starting us off is gonna be Hippie. Key West crew has been a bit of a surprise in this match. They've shown they've got some good agility and ability to survive. The red one following Hippie down the track. The red one gets underneath Hippie and does an over easy, and right as I say what a great job that this team is doing, Key West loses one of their cars. I should learn not to say anything, but I have to. I'm a commentator. Here comes the Greyhound bus. Greyhound bus just manages to knock Evil Weevil for a loop. Red one stays set on the track, nice and solid. And here's Day at the Beach. Day at the Beach stops dead in its tracks after whomping the bus forward a little bit. Here comes Blues Coupe. Blues Coupe takes a leisurely stroll down the track, and if there'd been any more cars left in this round, that ramp would have been set up. But that was the final car. We've got 1 elimination. 3 teams are still in this. Yeetus and Key West crew both at 1. Big Al at 2. It's anybody's match. Here we go, round 5. Big Al's primary objective looking pretty hard to eliminate right now as we start out with the red one taking position down at the end of the track. Evil Weevil going along for the ride. Final car for Key West crew, Day at the Beach. Day at the Beach lines up behind the red one, getting ready for a big hit from the Greyhound bus. The Greyhound bus providing a massive hit today at the beach, and that car goes up in the air, comes down, and still somehow manages to pull it out and land upright. Great effort right there, but could not take down Day at the Beach. Blues Coupe will round out this round with a fairly ineffective bounce. No elimination, so we are going to head right into round 6. All these vehicles, very tough competitors. But now, because there was no eliminations, they're going to have to increase their speed so we can get some action. Here comes the Blues Coupe starting us off and setting up that ramp in the middle of the track. So not only is Day at the Beach going to have to hit that ramp, they're also going to be doing it at a faster speed than usual. And an amazing jump all the way down to the end of the track. Bounces back and lands it. And if you weren't taking this Day at the Beach seriously, you better start, because that thing has got what it takes. Greyhound bus. Greyhound bus rides the Blues Coupe all the way down to the end of the track. Almost gets it off the track just with sheer power. Can't quite handle it though, and then flips over at the end. Can't finish the job. Great effort by the Greyhound, but it looks like this might be over. Here comes the red one. Red one goes off the back of Blues Coupe this time, does not go under it, peels off a bunch of paint, and slots into the safety spot, and that is gonna do it, folks. We've got our 2 surviving teams. An incredible match, some great competitors, but somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. And today it's gonna be Big Al's primary objective and the Key West crew that are moving on to the 12-team Battle Royale. That's coming up soon. Only one custom tournament match left before the biggest, most insane spectacle we've ever seen at Junkyard Joust. Which one of these teams do you think has what it takes to claim victory from all the other ones? Leave me a comment and let me know. Don't forget to like the video and become a patron if you'd like to support more episodes of this show. Thank you to all my current patrons, and we'll see you next time on Junkyard Joust. Five teams enter, but only 2 of them can move on, along with these 10 teams, into the final of the custom tournament. Hi everybody, I'm Aaron Yonda. Welcome to Junkyard Joust. It's qualifier number 6. Competing today are the Mad Maniacs, Lily's Boneyard, Jack, John, and Katie Racing, Good Intention, and the A-Team. Let's head into the garage for a closer look. Beware the dog, it's Lily's Boneyard with Lily the dog in all the vehicles. I don't exactly know how that's possible, but I find it's better not to ask questions. This is about as Canadian as they come. It's the A-Team. They've got 2 undercutters, 2 ramps, and a bruiser. Stretching the limits of what counts as a custom car, it's Good Intention, sponsored by TJG. These vehicles are definitely prepared for impact. Here's the brightly colored Mad Maniacs. They've got a couple ramps and some good variety in vehicles. And this is Jack, John, and Katie Racing. If I've learned anything from Key West performance last episode, a little low-budget moxie can go a long way. Let's custom joust. Starting us off for the Mad Maniacs, Outlaw Maniac, sponsored by Judy Collins and driven by Miss Maniac. The randomized running order is up. In custom tournament, teams do not get to choose which car comes down when. It's random as well. Up first for Lily's Boneyard, Reaper Madness, sponsored by Jedi and driven, of course, by Lily the dog. A strong hit by Reaper Madness, and we've already got our first elimination in this round. Outlaw Maniac cannot make a recovery off Evil Weevil, the track buffer, and Lily the dog takes first blood. First up for Jack, John, and Katie Racing, the Chevy Silverado, sponsored by DY Production Labs and driven by Tim. The Silverado Savages Reaper Madness knocking it sideways off the track, and now it's got that lo-fi ramp all ready to rock. Let's see how that ramp fares against Pogo 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 for Good Intentions, sponsored by Sloth Automotive Sachet and Buffet. Sometimes I barely know what I'm saying. Pogo 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 goes off the ramp, flips right over upside down. Rubber Bands didn't even get a chance to do anything, and that ramp is still in position. Good effort by Pogo, I guess? Shadow, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Shadow hits the ramp, cannot get under it, goes up in the crates, bounces off, and goes flat on its face. No recovery there. And another elimination. Right now we just have one vehicle that is alive on the field. 180 grams, the Mad Maniac Express, sponsored by Dr. Gonzo and driven by Mad Matty. And will you look at that, the Mad Maniac Express goes right off that ramp, pushes it, kind of rides it all the way up to the front, and then gets off the ride. Some of these heavier vehicles have struggled to survive after their hits. That's one way to do it. Nissan Bichon, sponsored by Chicken Rings Onion Wings, driven by Lily the dog. The Bichon catches the back of the jump on the Silverado, pushes it up to the front, and then still goes off the ramp, ironically, flips over and out. Silverado is surviving for the moment, but that jump is out of commission. Lily the dog sacrificing herself to get that jump out of commission. But there's still plenty of Lily the dogs left. Bentley Continental GT3, sponsored by Beaks Busted Barn Finds, driven by John. The Bentley makes a gentle but deadly hit, pushes two vehicles over sideways with just that tiniest of chain reactions. The Mad Maniac Express and the Silverado both getting eliminated on that hit. Next up for Good Intention, Overkill, sponsored by the Miskatonic Automotive Club. Overkill bounces off the Bentley, gets off the track. Right now looks like it's probably right side up. But both the Bentley and Overkill are in a rough position right now. They're going to be taking a hit from Solaire, sponsored by Farty Marty for the A-Team. Solaire slices and dices, knocks both cars off the track and takes them both down. Solaire known for these kind of deadly hits and does not fail to deliver. And again, we are down to just one surviving car on the track right now. This round has been a massacre. Speaking of massacre, it's the Maniac Hauler driven by Max the Maniac. If this thing gets set up and in position, and it does. Wow, it slows right down so wide that it actually has too much friction to get all the way to the end of the track, and now that ramp is in position. That looks like a tough ramp to get off the track. Obedience School going to take a crack at it, sponsored by Stump's Tree Farm, driven by Lily the dog. 108 grams of dogs go flying off the back of that ramp, and Obedience School flips over, pushes the truck all the way up but can't dislodge it, goes sideways, and is done. It looks like all the dogs are fine though. I'm assuming that they've done stuff like this before and it's part of their Obedience School training. Ford GT40 Mark IV is going to take that ramp, sponsored by Brendan Walsh and driven by Dr. John. The GT40 spirals off the ramp, but there's nowhere to land except the corpses of the fallen, and the GT40 goes upside down and joins them. The Maniac Hauler's ramp taking another victim. Let's see if bounciness can help in this situation. Boy-yo-yoing, sponsored by Sicken. Well, I wouldn't call that a bounce, but boy-yo-yoing, a successful dismount off that ramp, goes just barely over the top of it, flips right over, and pretty good recovery. Keeping good intention in this match. Holland Gas, sponsored by Ellis Wurtenberger. 164 grams, careens off the ramp, hits the crates and bobbles all over the place, goes straight upside down. Not a chance of recovery there, but an impressive hit. Nobody recovers as a result of that crash either. Wow. Now Maniac Creature has to survive his own teammate, sponsored by Jason's Bits Boys and driven by Mad Mike. Maniac Creature goes up the ramp and just lands straight on the top of the hauler, just kind of plops there and sits. Not a particularly great position to be in, but it's surviving for now. Here comes the Roadkill Express, sponsored by Tim the Bear Neal and driven by you-know-who. The Roadkill Express hits the bottom of that ramp, surprisingly does not go up the ramp and flips over and is right side up for now on the side of the track. Maniac Creature hangs on for dear life. Pro Stock Camaro's got a chance to do some damage here, driven by Captain John. Thank you, Camaro. The Camaro sideswipes Roadkill Express and then starts to take the ramp but can't get past Creature. backs right down. Curbside. Bungee Dumper, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. Bungee Dumper pushes into the Camaro, gets it off the track, and just sort of hangs out behind that jump. Paving the way for Ooze Coupe to potentially set up the ramp, sponsored by Bentley's Brakes and Bumpers. Ooze Coupe sort of sets up the ramp, takes out both vehicles, the Camaro and Bungee Dumper, and now we got a double ramp going on. Let's see if Ooze Coupe can hold on to this position. Gonna take a hit from the Maniac S7, driven by Maniac Man Mitchell. Maniac Man Mitchell takes the Ooze Coupe jump, goes over Creature, bounces off, and then cannot make a recovery. Again, too much stuff going on down there. Nowhere to land, and it is sideways. The Ooze Coupe claiming an elimination. Arrested Development, sponsored by Chicken Rings Onion Wings, driven by Lily the dog. Wow, a massive upset here as Arrested Development knocks the Ooze Coupe upside down off the back of the other ramp and then somehow finds a landing place and survives for the moment. Unbelievable, Ooze Coupe wiped out, and that is a big deal. As we've seen in previous matches, Ooze Coupe can do a lot of damage. A slightly less oozy coupe, it's the Ford Mustang, driven by Sammy Boy. The Ford Mustang goes right off the back of the ramp, flips over, barely even takes the ramp, just kind of bounces off of it, goes upside down, and does the classic Mustang move of driving right off the track. Never even a chance to use that ramp. The Fail Digger, sponsored by Chome. The Fail Digger hits the ramp, but doesn't have enough power to actually go up the ramp. Could be a good thing for the Fail Digger, and at the moment it's a successful digger. Too Cool, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling for the A-Team. Too Cool pops Fail Digger up in the air. Fail Digger goes upside down, bounces itself out of this competition, and Too Cool takes a stab at Creature, pushing it over sideways, and that is probably going to be an elimination for that vehicle. That double takedown by Too Cool is going to end this round, and let me tell you folks, it is a record breaker. 20 eliminations in that round. We've never seen carnage like this at Junkyard Joust before. Jack, John, and Katie Racing out of the match already. The Silverado doing a lot of damage, but they just couldn't stick around. 5 cars remain, 1 for the Mad Maniacs, Lily's Boneyard, and Good Intention. A-Team, only team coming out with more than 1 vehicle left. That was a brutal round 1. We're heading into round 2. Will there be more than 2 rounds? I guess we'll find out as Too Cool takes to the track. A little bit of a ramp on that vehicle could come into play here. Arrested Development up next for the Boneyard. Arrested Development takes the ramp, pieces breaking off all over the place, and it makes an unbelievable recovery. Look at this twist, and then it just bounces right back up again. What a great recovery by a vehicle that you did not expect it from. And now the vehicle that was responsible for a big chunk of the eliminations last round, the Maniac Hauler. Maniac Hauler pops into position, does not take the ramp on Too Cool, and that's going to prove important towards keeping the Mad Maniacs in this match. Final surviving car for Good Intention, Boyoyoing. Boyoyoing bounces again to a successful recovery, and wow, another amazing leap and a great landing. No eliminations on this round yet. Pretty impressive. Already the final car of the round, Solaire. Solaire hits the ramp, not great at surviving these kind of situations, and Solaire flips and flops and cannot make a recovery. And that is going to equalize things. Every team remaining has 1 car left. Let's look at the aftermath. And with the elimination of Solaire, the A-Team is down to 1, and it looks like we'll have our round 3. But before we do that, a quick word from our sponsor.
Ooh, that's juicy! Jousting builds up a mean thirst. That's why real jousters like Winnebago drink Junkyard Joust. Quench your thirst the Winnebago way. What happens when you combine delicious fruit flavoring with leftover automotive parts and fluid left in the junkyard? I'll tell you, it's Junkyard Joust! Not satisfied with 1 tiny box of Junkyard Joust? Well, then it's lucky for you it comes in a 1-gallon size. Wish there were hundreds of other uses for Junkyard Joust? Well, today's your day, friend. Just look at all the things you can do with it. Joust your thirst today. Now in sour blue rustberry.
Does not contain actual juice. Ask doctor before using. They gave me a bunch of free Junkyard Juice before we started the joust. I'm kind of afraid to go near it. Maniac Hauler's up first in round 3, setting up that ramp already. And now the 3 remaining cars gotta take the plunge. Let's see if Boyoyoing can work that bouncy magic. Oh, no such luck as it takes a rough bounce on the top of the Maniac Hauler and then flips upside down. Does not manage to use its rubber bandedness to its advantage, and it looks like Good Intention might be out of this match. Let's see if Arrested Development can take that jump again. Lily the dog drives all the way off that ramp, flips, gets a little boost at the end of it, looks like it's gonna survive, and then just kinda hits the track at a bad angle. Can't quite pull it off. Oh, agonizingly close to a recovery there. Maybe the crate's even the reason that vehicle could not completely flip over. Tough break for Lily the dog in the boneyard. Now, if Too Cool cannot survive this ramp, we're gonna have to go to the points to see who's moving on. But it is moot. Too Cool hits the crates, makes a good bounce and a recovery, and keeps the A-team in this match and sends them to the final, along with the Mad Maniacs. What a massacre this match was. Didn't even think there was going to be more than 2 rounds. And after the dust settles, the Mad Maniacs and the A-team are going to the championship match. They're going to join this illustrious group of teams right here. What a match this is going to be. A battle royale between 12 teams. We've never done anything like this on Junkyard Joust before. It should be amazing and epic. Thank you to absolutely everyone who sent in teams and cars for this custom tournament. And get ready for the big one in 2 weeks from now. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Junkyard Joust. $60 custom cars, 12 teams. Call it a battle royale, call it a demolition derby, call it whatever you want. It's the Junkyard Joust. And in this match, only one team can win. Hi everybody, I'm Aaron Yonda and welcome to this very special event here at Junkyard Joust. It's the custom tournament final. All of these teams have battled through a lot of other teams to get to this position, and now we are down to just the very best. They are gonna fight each other for glory. Let's take a closer look at these teams. First up, it's the heavily ramped team Baby Brigade. They dominated in their first appearance, and their weight in the ramps make them a formidable foe. The Mad Maniacs wreaked havoc in their first showing. That ramped truck eliminated a lot of vehicles. The Ram Jams from Team DRT3K. They've got a lot of variety here and some good survivors. The Dogfighters team is an agile team with some good undercutting ability. Big Al's primary objective has a ramp, it's got undercutting, it's got a heavy vehicle, and it's got a Lamelt. The A-team's also got a couple of ramps, a couple of undercutters, and a bruiser. Numbskull Racing has some vehicles that are hard to get off the track, and they've got a turtle shell, which is tough to eliminate, plus a Lamelt. The old ones awakened just enough to get Carthulu into the finals. They're a little top-heavy, but they've got some survivors. Key West Crew, a team sent in by 9-year-old Jack, surprised everybody in their match, and they're here to do it again. Team Beaverworks from Beaverworks Diecast Racing has some good variety here, a couple of undercutters, and an old jalopy that knows how to survive. Golden Owl has a bruiser that looks like a brick, a news coupe ramp, and some good survivors. The Sock Hop Slammers barely survived their qualifying match with several of their cars breaking apart, but they're all fixed up now and ready to go. It's time for the joust, starting off with Big Al's primary objective, Dr. Black MD, sponsored by Chicken Rings Onion Wings. Dr. Black knifes Evil Weevil, the track buffer, right off the track and takes its place. If you're new to the joust, if a car is sideways or upside down at the end of the round, it's out. Right side up stays in. Speedbox is up first for Numbskull Racing, sponsored by Sicken. This is the first time we've ever run a joust with 12 teams. Usually the main event is 10, so this is going to be very interesting as Dr. Black MD gets shuttled off the track by Speedbox. First up for the Mad Maniacs, Maniac S7, driven by Maniac Man Mitchell and sponsored by Judy Collins. A little bouncing back and forth between the Maniac Man and Speedbox. A lot of these cars are pretty good survivors. I don't think this match will be quite as much of a massacre as we've seen in the past. Boxed Beaver now from Team Beaverworks, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. Boxed Beaver slams into the line, just pushes him up a little bit farther and then kind of sticks in the middle of the track. Could be a tough vehicle to get off the track. Supercars first up for Key West Crew, sponsored by Ellis Wertenberger. The running order of the teams and the order that the cars go down in is all randomized. Supercar taking a super bounce off the back of Boxed Beaver going sideways. Kind of stuck to the side of the track there with that spoiler. I don't think it's going to stay like that for long because Low Flow's coming down, sponsored by Jedi for the Baby Brigade. Low Flow strikes and the supercar escapes unharmed, somehow bouncing off the back of Boxed Beaver. Low Flow pries Boxed Beaver off the track, tosses it off sideways. Wow, that is a big takedown right there. Tough loss for Beaverworks. Now that ramp is set up for Golden Owl's Wambulance, sponsored by the Miskatonic Automotive Club. Ooh, and these Baby Brigade cars are deadly on both ends. Wambulance slamming into the crates and landing on the back end, leaning up against the crate. Ouch, indeed. That could be an elimination for that vehicle, which hasn't been eliminated before. Now Duke's gonna have to deal with that ramp for the Dogfighters, sponsored by Ellis Wertenberger. Duke takes the jump and punishes the Wambulance on its way down to the ground. Flips over though, cannot right itself. That's probably going to be an elimination. Another reason to have ouch on the bottom of the Wambulance right there. The pile up is beginning. Deep One next up for Carthulu, sponsored by TJG. Deep One takes a strange and mind-bending track off the back of that ramp. Looks like it's going to recover and then just flips over. Done. Everybody's taking swipes at the Wambulance on the way down. Too Cool's up first for the A-Team, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. Too Cool takes the leap and plunges to its doom. Not a very cool landing. Gets hung up on Deep One and goes upside down and out. First up for the Ram Jams, Blotto Man, sponsored by Stump's Tree Farm. Blotto Man bounds off the back of Low Flow, hits the crates, and another casualty from that Low Flow ramp. That was a big survivor for the Ram Jams. This could be a tough loss. Wambulance takes another hit, but wait a minute, was this hit enough to potentially put it right side up? Big survivor for the Sock Hop Slammers, Live 55, driven by Kara Miller. A Live 55, a nice slow dismount off of that ramp, keeps it in the game. Poised up at the front of Low Flow, could be a dangerous spot, but for now, right side up. We're finally back around the roster to Big Al's primary objective, Banana Peel now, sponsored by Bentley's Brakes and Bumpers. Banana Peel tries to split off the track, but just goes over and sideways. That's probably an elimination at the moment for Banana Peel. Not an impressive showing by that Lamelt vehicle, though there's still a chance of recovery. Raijin Express for Numbskull Racing, sponsored by Stump's Tree Farm. And the front of Raijin not low enough to prevent the jump, and unfortunately it leaps up and forces Speedbox off the track. Friendly fire, Speedbox tipped over by its own teammate. Can't blame anyone else for that one. Alive 55 flipped over on the way, now unalive. Unbelievable Numbskull's first elimination caused by a member of its own team. Here comes the Maniac Creature for Mad Maniac, sponsored by Jason's Bits Boys and driven by Mad Mike. Surprisingly, Creature able to almost prevent a jump here, climbs up on the back but stops it there. Absolutely impressive maneuver right there, prevents the S7 from getting flipped over and saves his teammate, and sets up an even steeper ramp on the track. Beaver Hammer's gonna take the big one right now, sponsored by Sloss Automotive Sachet and Buffet. Oh man, 99 gram slam into the crates, flops backwards, bounces, lands upside down, and that is going to be a tough elimination right there for the Beaverworks. This might be turning into a bit of a massacre right here. Mile Zero for Key West, also sponsored by Sloss Automotive Sachet and Buffet. Mile Zero hits that jump and almost manages to come back right side up, but just can't quite manage it. Still, it's a pretty precarious position. Could be a chance it'll come back down and flip up. Now the question is, what happens when Hammered Coupe for the Baby Brigade hits the track, sponsored by Judy Collins? Ooh, that Hammered Coupe can't get under the back of Maniac Creature, flips into the crates, brings it back, balances, and makes it right side up. One of the few vehicles to go off of a ramp so far and actually survive. The Brick for Golden Owl, sponsored by Sicken. And yeah, that ramp is really getting steep now. The Brick goes way up in the air, all the way up to a 6. Bounces back, can't quite land it, gets stuck on the wrong end of the Brick, and I fully expect the bottom of that vehicle to be a crash pad for upcoming vehicles when they hit this ramp. Bella's up for the Dogfighter, sponsored by Judy Collins. Bella keeps it low and manages to survive the flight. That car looks like it's kind of designed to fly through the air and does a great job of flipping over the Brick and landing it, at least for now. The Shoggoth Mobile, sponsored by Jenki's Velma. It's a heavy vehicle. It's certainly not going to survive this jump. Nope, it didn't, and it flips right over and is eliminated. Makes sense that a Cthulhu team wouldn't exactly have stable cars. Cthulhu more known for instability. Shadow for the A-Team, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Shadow not quite low enough to get under that jump, but it does a good job of starting to displace the jump and makes a pretty spectacular recovery. Gets up to a height of 6 on the way over to the crates, bounces, pivots, spends some time figuring out what to do here, and then finally flops back down, right side up. Great job there. The Maniac Creature ramp is a little askew. BH Big Truckus has a chance to mess with it here, sponsored by Regal Radio. A massive punch from the BH Big Truckus, and it pushes Creature off the track, almost sideways. Might be an elimination there. Definitely in danger, and that hit was such a big wallop that it forced Mile Zero back off the pile and into a recovery. Key West crew got to be pleased with that result. Sometimes having a nice light vehicle can be an advantage. Anglia Panel Truck Dragster for the Sock Hop Slammers, driven by Josh Miller. The panel truck smacks Big Truckus with all its might and takes itself out in the process. And it looks to me like there might have been enough force to almost right Maniac Creature on that hit. The red one's up now for Big Al, sponsored by Sicken. The red one's not really a fast vehicle, it's more slow and methodical. It pushes into the back of the panel truck, almost puts it upright, and now that car is locked in. Here comes Lamelt for Numbskull Racing, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. As those of you who watch the Joust know, Lamelt has a long and storied history here. Generally one of the best survivors around, and it's just righted the panel truck somehow. Here's something I know it's going to be tough to eliminate, the Maniac Hauler, driven by Max the Maniac, and sponsored by Chicken Rings, Onion Rings. Maniac Hauler pushes into Lamelt, does not go up on that fin, and plants its jump into position. We saw this ramp do some serious damage in the qualifier. First vehicle to put it to the test is going to be Agent Y, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. Agent Y takes the plunge, and look at that wonderful dive into the pile of cars. Graceful, steady, and with amazing balance. Gotta love an old car like that. Day at the Beach, the Miracle Worker for Key West crew, sponsored by PriceX Private Parts. Day at the Beach surfs the wave, and look at this insanity. Wow, I've never seen anything like that. Flips around a couple of times and then just plants it down, no problem. Handles that jump with style. Is the Swoop Coupe low enough to get under that ramp? Sponsored by Chome. Swoop Coupe cannot get under it, goes off the ramp, pushes it up a little bit on Lamelt actually, then gets lodged in between a bunch of cars sideways. Tough spot for the Swoop Coupe, and now Lamelt is also in play, pushing that jump down lower. Hodor for Golden Owl, sponsored by Farty Marty. Hodor hits the jump, does a nice job of landing it, bounces off the front, lands right on top of Agent Y. Doesn't get to set up its own ramp, but might get another shot at that later. Jack for the Dogfighter, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Jack goes off the ramp and does not have good luck with that landing. Lands right next to its counterpart, the red one, but upside down. Tough bounce. Carthulu's up, Flying Polyp, sponsored by the Miskatonic Automotive Club. Flying polyp goes flying. Nice landing. Goes all the way up to the crates. Knocks Hodor out of the way and makes it all the way up to a 6 with just the top of the polyp. Driving straight into madness and landing upright. Biggest vehicle on the A-Team, 164 grams, sponsored by Ellis Werdenberger. It's hauling gas. Oh, wow, will you look at that? The heaviness of that vehicle causes the Maniac Hauler to go sliding right off of Lamelt. Lamelt, a classic troublemaker in the history of Junkyard Joust, does it again. The Maniac Hauler tossed sideways. Unbelievable. I thought that vehicle would never get knocked off the track. And hauling gas sacrifices itself to get that ramp gone. We're only about halfway through round 1, but look at the devastation caused by all of these vehicles. Ramp Jam up next for the Ram Jam, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. Ramp Jam takes this opportunity to set up yet another ramp, but we've seen ramp after ramp get disassembled. Will Ramp Jam be able to maintain this ramp? Shoebox is gonna hit it first, driven by Racing Jason. Shoebox hits it and wow, gets some good height, bouncing right there, going all the way up squarely into the 6 range before finally landing down by Polyp. Flipping over though, unfortunately, and that's probably going to be an elimination. Ramp Jam's got to survive a 154 gram hit from Moby D, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. Wow, that was a huge hit. Ramp Jam gets tossed all the way off the track. Man, I mean it when I say that was a big hit right there. A lot of force being applied to multiple vehicles. Ramp Jam takes the brunt of it. Lamelt knocked off the track. The Baby Brigade's low flow also tossed around on that hit, but still remained sideways. So not only did Moby D not go off the jump, but also locks it in on the track. Wow. Ain't Fair's up next, sponsored by Chicken Rings Onion Wings. A nice square even hit on the back of Moby D. Moby D gets forced up on top of the pile, and Ain't Fair locks it in nicely. I'm wondering just how high that pile's gonna get. Mad Maniac Express, sponsored by Dr. Gonzo and driven by Mad Maddie. The Mad Maniac Express, just the right amount of impetus into the back of Ain't Fair, manages to stay on the track, doesn't do any damage, but also doesn't get eliminated. Sponsored by Chemical Knight, it's the Beaverari. Beaverari hits a Mad Maniac Express wall, can't go anywhere, so much so that the back flings open, but it manages to stay locked in. It's a mighty shield of construction paper, it's Hippie, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. Hippie slams the Beaverari, pushes it up in the air, can't quite get it off the track, backs away slowly. We've got a nice line of cars developing. I think that's all about to end. Backslider, 199 grams, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. Hippie gets hurled high into the air. The Beaverari as well, but it makes a spectacular recovery. Hippie, though, all the way up to level, 9. I don't think we've seen a car go that high up for a long time. Backslider and the Baby Brigade did some serious damage right there, somehow stopped by the Mad Maniac Express. The Beaverari is hanging on, but Hippie is definitely out. Let's just take one more look at that hit. Man, impressive. Now the backslider is in place. Other vehicles are gonna have to watch out. Grim Creeper, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. Grim Creeper pops right off a backslider, can't land it, goes sideways. That's an elimination. You're gonna need a slightly lower center of gravity to survive a jump off of this thing. Speak of the devil, Lily's got a nice low center of gravity, sponsored also by Sid from Cybertron. Lily reaches for the stars and tries to make that landing happen, but there's not room. Reaches a height of 7 on the way up. That's pretty good, but not able to pull it off. Still not over yet. Might be a chance of getting squeezed up right in that position. Doesn't look good right now, though. Carthonian, sponsored by Sloth's Automotive Sachet and Buffet. Carthonian with a brain-bending performance, a perfect 360, lands on a bunch of different vehicles and somehow manages to stay alive. Solaire's done a lot of damage in regular jousts. Let's see what Solaire can do for the A-Team here, sponsored by Farty Marty. Solaire takes a tumble off the ramp and does a great job of flipping it around and landing it, and at the same time sends a baby flying up into the air like off of a teeter-totter or something. Wow, that baby, I don't know how high that went, but that was definitely higher than any of the cars have gone today. Off the charts, I suppose. Not sure exactly why it decided to take flight right there. Maybe it saw Solaire coming and didn't want to get hit. Heart Scraper, sponsored by the Miskatonic Automotive Club. Heart Scraper hits that jump and just kind of flops right over. Gonna be scraping its own heart off of the grass. Couldn't get under that ramp. Tough loss for the Ram Jams. Plymouth Fury up now for the Slammers, driven by Dirty Murray. The Plymouth makes a nice looking jump at first. Looks like it's gonna land it, bounces off Grim Creeper, and then takes an unfortunate bounce upside down. That's gonna be an elimination for the Sock Hop Slammers. And I don't see a single car alive for the Sock Hop Slammers right now. They might be in trouble. Blues Coupe for Big Al, sponsored by Farty Money. Blues Coupe has the same problem as Heart Scraper, can't quite get enough momentum to roll it over, and ends up upside down. That's going to be one ramp down for Big Al's primary objective, the ever difficult to eliminate Turtle Shell for Numbskull, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Turtle Shell, wow, that was a great jump. Look at how many times it flips over in the air, bounces off the Plymouth Fury, goes up to a height of 8 on the way there. Second highest jump of the day, and then flips all over the place, and of course, rolls over and lands it. Phenomenal agility for a turtle. Outlaw Maniac now for the Maniac, sponsored by Judy Collins and driven by Miss Maniac. Outlaw Maniac's a fast car, gets a lot of distance, but can't land it. Actually bounces off the wave of Day at the Beach, and that ends up knocking it over and eliminating it. Day at the Beach proving to be effective at offense right there. The newly reconstructed Beaver E, sponsored by Judy Collins. Beaver E proving it's got what it takes to survive, flips around but manages to land over on Solaire and does not come apart. Good run there for Team Beaverworks. I have the distinct feeling that Blue Golfing is going to end up very high up in the air here, sponsored by Regal Radio. And just like a nicely hit drive, Blue Golfing heads up into the air, makes it bounce off of Day at the Beach. Can't quite make a recovery, but look at the height on this. An 8, higher than Turtle Shell, not quite as high as his teammate Hippie. A bit of a hook on that car, and it ends up in the rough. Now Phaeton's got to survive a jump off of its own teammate, sponsored by Dr. Gonzo. Phaeton jumps off Backslider and flips over, and it works a little too well, Backslider does. And Phaeton is probably eliminated, sitting over there on top of Day at the Beach. Here comes Slim Pickens for Golden Owl, sponsored by Ellis Werdenberger. Ooh, Slim Pickens handles the twists and turns off that jump like a pro, backing all the way down onto the grass, making a nice recovery. No oops today. Up now it's Buddy. This car is designed to stop ramps. Let's see if it works. Sponsored by Mark the Music Lover. Buddy cannot prevent this ramp. It's a little too low to the ground, and Buddy bounces around, ends up upside down. A nice spiral as Buddy arcs through the air, but there's just nowhere to land at this point. Cthulhu, sponsored by Tim the Bear Neal. Cthulhu, whoa, I actually thought this thing was not going to have a chance of surviving, but it looks like it's teetering right now. I did not expect that, but you never know what to expect from Cthulhu, I guess. Ooze Coupe now for the A-Team, sponsored by Bentley's Brakes and Bumpers. And another Ooze Coupe will not get to set up their jump. That thing goes right off to the left, sideways next to Cthulhu. I think Cthulhu might be considered out at this point, but I know that Ooze Coupe is. Scully for the Ram Jam, sponsored by Sicken. Scully gets a ton of speed and takes that jump all the way down past the crates, I think. Oh, into the crates and then off to the left. Can't even see what happened. On the way there, though, to hit a level 6. And we'll see if we can get a shot of where it landed. And wow, that's amazing. Somehow it landed upright after knocking over and through the fence. Great recovery by Scully. 57 Chevy for the Sock Hop Slammers, driven by Marcus Firegone. Another ridiculously high jump. The 57 Chevy going straight up in the air. Definitely in the top 5 of jumps today. Reaches level 8. This is a car that broke apart and had to be put back together before this match, but it keeps it together now quite nicely and makes a spectacular, if somewhat precarious recovery, but it will be enough because that was the final car of round 1. Oh man, what a round. All the cars have gone for all 12 teams, and we are gonna count up the eliminations and see what happened here. Let's go to the aftermath. Final tally is going to be 29 cars eliminated in this round, a little under half the field. Out of these 5 teams, the A team took the biggest loss with 3. Everybody else lost 2, except for Numbskull Racing, who only lost Speedbox, and that was because they knocked it out themselves. A bit more devastation over here. The Ram Jams, Dogfighters, and Carthulu each lost 3. Key West Crew and Golden Owl lost 2 apiece. So a pretty even match as we head into round 2. Ain't Fair starting us off for Numbskull, the only team with 4 left. All the other teams having lost a couple at least. I think it just shows you the level of competition that's going on right now. The Mad Maniac Express used that 180 grams to its advantage last round to stay on the track. This time also smacking into Ain't Fair and staying on the track nice and solid. Agent Y doesn't have to take a ramp this time, though I think that car is great at taking them. Agent Y slams into the 2 heavy vehicles and stops dead on the track, pushing them both up to the front. Good time for Dr. Black MD to strike with that front end that can get under just about anything. Dr. Black speeds right underneath Agent Y, goes up and tries to knock the Mad Maniac Express off the track. Can't quite remove it, but it sure is getting it close. Hammered Coupe for the brigade. Hammered Coupe carves under Agent Y, knocks Dr. Black off the track. The Mad Maniac Express, wow, nearly toppled, but manages to hold her steady. Wambulance is up. There was some question whether Wambulance was going to survive last round, but check this out. Amazingly, Wambulance managed to make a recovery after all those hits and all those cars piled on top of it. Wambulance bounces off Agent Y, goes off the back of Hammered Coupe, and oh boy, gonna need another amazing recovery after this. Wambulance topples over. Agent Y slides to recovery, but I think Wambulance is down for the count. Key West had a lot of cars flying all over the place last round, but they still have 3 left, and here's Supercar. Supercar hits Hammered Coupe, doesn't go off the back of it, almost gets Ain't Fair off the track with a nice hit. Can't quite force it off though. Shadow's got a shot using some undercutter ability here. No undercutting, but Shadow does manage to propel Supercar up into the air and to its doom off the back of Hammered Coupe, and then slides up to the front. And it looks like that will probably be our second elimination of the round. Carthonian for Carthulu. Carthonian, a nice hit there, and Ain't Fair finally topples over sideways. Shadow gets pushed up in the air, but makes a nice dismount off of Hammered Coupe and recovery. Ain't Fair is balanced on top of Supercar. I guess there's a chance that thing could recover in that position. So many cars in this match, I missed it when Lily made a recovery. Here was Lily's final position at the end of round 1. It was definitely a close one, but Lily made it to round 2. Lily smacks up Carthonian, but Carthonian comes right back down onto the track and locks it back in. BH Big Truckus for the Ram Jams. Big Truckus rushes headlong into the fray and smashes a lot of cars all over the place. Ain't Fair gets turned upside down. Lily manages to stay alive, as does Carthonian. Only elimination on that hit, Big Truckus itself. 57 Chevy. Sock Hop Slammers needed a bit of a miracle here, and that is not it. 57 Chevy goes sideways, though it still has a chance of making a recovery, but this could be our first team eliminated if it doesn't. Rygen Express for Numbskull. Rygen Express pretty much finishes off Big Truckus and pushes the 57 Chevy farther up the track. 57 Chevy stays together, but it needs to make a recovery. Maniac Creature. Maniac Creature, a nice measured approach, pushes into the line and sets up a potential ramp. Beaverari. Beaverari shows you what undercutting is all about, slicing underneath the Maniac Creature, tossing it on its back like a turtle on its shell. Solid elimination right there. Beaverari about to get sandwiched here by Moby D. Moby D squishes Beaverari into the back of Raijin, flips it over and maybe sideways? Big hit and a lot of jostling, but no eliminations, and actually the 57 Chevy rolls over for a recovery. Sock Hop Slammers are still in this. Low flow for Baby Brigade. Low flow gets under Moby D, but too heavy to get it off the track. Looks like Beaverari is conclusively sideways at this point. Here comes Hodor. The Ooze Coops have been foiled left and right. Never had a chance to set up any of their jumps so far yet in this match, but Hodor does manage to slide over Low Flow and stay alive. Mile Zero. Mile Zero is a light vehicle, and it goes right into the crates, bounces violently back, and goes right upside down. That looks like a definite elimination for Key West right there. Solaire showed some spirit in round one for the A-Team. Solaire slams into the back of Low Flow, loses a big chunk of paint, but wow, was it worth it. Solaire not going off that ramp and managing to vacate the track. That's going to be a survival for the A-Team. Flying Polyp. Flying Polyp takes the ramp and doesn't have good luck on the dismount. Rolling over sideways, no recovery this time, and Carthulu looks to be down to one. Bella. Similar to last round, Bella takes the jump and makes a nice landing, bounces back, and that looks like it's probably going to be a recovery. Scully had a wild ride last round. Let's see what happens this time. Scully takes a ride headfirst into the crates at high speeds, flips around upside down, and that is very likely an elimination. The Ram Jams could be in trouble here. Taking a look at the field, we're almost halfway through this round. A decent amount of eliminations it looks like, and yeah, the Ram Jams, they need help right here because neither of their vehicles is alive. They're looking for a miracle. Lamelt's up now, did some damage last round. Ooh, and a pretty deft maneuver by Lamelt right there. Bounces off his own teammate, Raijin, but still manages to come down on all four tires. Maniac S7. The Maniac S7 takes the jump and does a little bit of tumbling. Doesn't quite have the agility to make a recovery right there. And the Mad Maniac's in a little bit of trouble here. I'm seeing two of their vehicles upside down, although one is still around. Beaver E. Beaver E jumps up the back of Low Flow and takes a stab into the pile of cars, ends up right next to Moby D, wedged in there on top of Hodor. If anybody can stop the Low Flow ramp, it's Red One. Red One jabs at the back of Low Flow. A lot of paint goes flying on that hit. An almost perfect hit, except the Red One is curbside and about to take a massive hit from Backslider. Backslider and the babies cruise into the line of cars. Red One makes a nice little jump, a skip to recovery. Raijin looks to be in danger for a second, but then somehow pulls it back and gets underneath Low Flow on the way. And that sneaky little move by Raijin might actually cause the demise of Low Flow. Slim Pickens for Golden Owl. And Slim Pickens has got this. What a great jump. Look at all the spinning that car is doing, and then still somehow pulls off a landing. That car was just made for those kind of jumps. Day at the beach. Day at the beach does it again. A little twirl right there and a flawless landing over on top of the pile. Ground or pile, doesn't matter to that vehicle. It'll always land it seems like. Another car that can handle the jump, it's Turtle Shell. Turtle Shell launches into space, and I think we might have to let air traffic control know about this one. Turtle Shell going all the way up to a level 8 right there. Luckily, no airplanes were passing by, and Turtle Shell makes a flawless landing on top of Day at the beach. He uses it for a cushion. That is the end of round 2. 11 eliminations on the round, and we are going to lose our first team from this match. Taking a look at the aftermath, Mad Maniacs down to 1 from 3. Big Al did not lose a car. Numbskull lost 1. Team Beaverworks and Baby Brigade each lost 1, and the A-Team stayed alive, did not lose a car. Cthulhu and Key West Crew both down to 1 survivor. Golden Owl is down to 2. Dogfighters stayed steady at 2. The Sock Hop Slammers stayed in the match with 1 car. And the Ram Jams will be the first team eliminated in this competition. They did some damage on their way out though. This has been an incredible brawl so far. I hope you tune in for the second half of this Battle Royale to find out who the ultimate champion of the custom tournament is gonna be. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I'd love to have you around. We've got another big competition coming up right after this one, and the Apocalypse Joust is getting ever closer. I'll have updates for you on that, and I'll tell you how to enter that very soon. We have a lot of fun over in the Junkyard Joust Discord. Check out the link for that in the description. And get exclusive behind-the-scenes looks and sponsor cars over at the Junkyard Joust Patreon. I know it was a long one, folks. Thanks for watching all the way through. I'll see you next time on the Junkyard Joust. Duke takes the jump and punishes the Wambulance. Oh man, 99 gram slam. Stay at the beach, surfs the wave. Hippie gets hurled high into the air. Hi everybody, welcome to the Junkyard Joust. I'm Aaron Yonda. That was just a small sampling of the action from the first 2 rounds. 40 cars were eliminated. These are the remaining 20 vehicles. Big Al's primary objective and Numbskull Racing slightly out ahead with 3 vehicles left. The Ram Jams were completely eliminated, and we've got a bunch of teams with only 1 car remaining, just hanging on by a thread. But a thread is better than dead. It's time to joust. Round 3 starts with the red one for Big Al, sponsored by Sicken. There's your running order, randomly determined. 11 teams left in the match. We started with 12. Numbskull starting off with Lamelt, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. Ooh, Lamelt gets a bad bounce off the back of the red one. I've never seen a Lamelt do this in my life. Unbelievable. Just flips over and is dead on the track. Now, there's a chance that it can come back from this. Slim Pickens could easily right that thing, but we'll see what happens. Sponsored by Ellis Wurtenberger. And Golden Owl does Numbskull a huge favor. Look at that toss. Lamelt goes up in the air to a height of 6. I've never seen a Lamelt go that high. Another first here at Junkyard Joust. And just at the very end, tips to the left and makes a recovery. And now the red one in danger. Good hit by Slim Pickens, despite the fact that it righted Lamelt and saved it. Shadow now for A-Team, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Shadow doesn't quite have the oomph to do any damage here. Pushes Slim Pickens up to the front, and red one barely survives. Almost toppled over. A little bit more force right there. I think red one would have been out. Speaking of force, the biggest vehicle left in the competition, Backslider, sponsored also by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. We've seen it before. Backslider annihilates all the cars on the track. Shadow gets a boost from Slim Pickens, makes it up to a height of 7 before they both plummet back down to the ground, and unfortunately, double oops as they are both eliminated. And we lost a baby. Another baby jump ship off a Backslider. The brigade is taking some losses. Beaver E now for Team Beaverworks, sponsored by Judy Collins. Beaver E hits that jump and does a great flip over, lands it backwards. Great looking recovery for Beaver E, keeping it in the match. Up next is Lily for the Dogfighter, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. Lily heads into the clouds and instead hits the crates, but a nice spiral on the way there, corkscrewing into the side, going up to a height of 7, almost as high as Shadow, and then lightly jumps over Slim Pickens. That is an agile vehicle. Look at that landing. Sock Hop Slammers still in this match. 57 Chevy, their sole remaining vehicle, driven by Marcus Firegun. 57 Chevy hits the ramp, goes up high into the air, and kind of flops down and cannot land upright. Makes a nice jump, though, up to 7. That seems to be a theme here in this round. And that 57 Chevy is probably out, although we've seen recoveries before by this vehicle from similar positions, so don't give up yet. Cthulhu also down to just Carthonian, sponsored by Sloth's Automotive Sachet and Buffet. Carthonian hits that jump and looks like it's going to make a recovery, bounces all over the place, and then Slim Pickens blocks its path to recovery. That could be it for Carthulu. If anyone can survive that jump, it's Day at the Beach for Key West Crew, sponsored by Price X Private Parts. Oh boy, I shouldn't have said that. I always do this. I hope that Day at the Beach doesn't get eliminated now. I'm not going to blame myself, though. It's not my fault. I didn't do anything except say that if anyone can take the job. Maybe it was my fault. I don't know. Here comes the Mad Maniac Express, sponsored by Dr. Gonzo and driven by Mad Maddie. Oh, the Mad Maniac's last hope in this match, and it just flips over upside down. The slow approach finally fails that big bus, and it is probably done. Moby D's up for Big Al's primary objective, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. We're losing team after team, but Moby D makes a spectacular recovery, bouncing heavily off the crates and landing it. Somehow manages to avoid all of the traffic and plants it safely. Nice work. Turdo Shell for Numbskull Racing, sponsored by Emo Dingo. If anything can survive the jump. Oh, wow, Turtle Shell takes a massive leap up into the sky, and look at the landing. Makes it all the way up to a 7, as is tradition in this round, and then look at this. Backslider gets bounced backwards a little bit, and Turtle Shell pops down and takes its place right in front of Backslider. Like, yeah, look, you didn't do anything to me. Hodor for Golden Owl, sponsored by Farty Marty. Oh no, and the last of the Ooze Coops flips itself over to its doom. Not a single Ooze Coop, I think, ever got to set up a ramp in this match. I could be wrong, but man, that's tough. That's gonna be it for Golden Owl and for Ooze Coops. Solaire now for the A-Team, sponsored by Farty Marty. Solaire leaps into the air and makes an incredible recovery. A lot of spinning right there. Hits a level 6 with that leap. And as it bounces to a recovery, look at that. Day at the Beach is now recovered. Solaire, a little twisting help right there. And Key West breathes a sigh of relief. Hammered Coop now for Baby Brigade, sponsored by Judy Collins. Hammered Coop can't handle his own teammate's jump and flops it over upside down. Maybe got hung up on the baby on that recovery, I don't know. And on the way down, Hammered Coop slapped that Solaire off the pile and flipped it upside down. A-Team is gonna lose their Solaire. Here comes Agent Y, sponsored by Hendricus Heavy Hauling. Ooh, yeah, nice jump there for Agent Y as it hits the crates, flips down, uses Hodor as a little off-ramp to descend into safety and survive the round. Bella's up for the Dogfighters, sponsored by Judy Collins. Bella hits the ramp and then uses Agent Y as a little pivot point to drop down and land it. Pretty graceful maneuver there for Bella. Dr. Black MD for Big Al, sponsored by Chicken Rings Onion Wings. Can the Doctor get under the ramp of Backslider? He sure can, and this is the closest that Backsliders come to danger so far. I cannot say for sure whether or not that is eliminated, but there's a lot more round to go yet, so we'll see what happens, but that looks pretty darn close. Wow. That's a vehicle I thought I'd never see in that position. Ride Jane Express now for Numbskull, sponsored by Stump's Tree Farm. Final car of the round. And Raijin Express does Baby Brigade a favor right there, riding Backslider completely. Turtle Shell gets jostled around but stays right side up. Taking a look at the field, 8 eliminations, but 5 teams were eliminated in this round by itself. In that sense, this was the most devastating round so far. Let's take a look at the aftermath. We're gonna have to say goodbye to the Mad Maniacs and the A-Team. Big Al's primary objective in Numbskull Racing didn't lose a single car. They're still at 3. Team Beaverworks still at 2, and Baby Brigade lost 1 down to 1. Carthulu and Sock Hop Slammers eliminated. Golden Owl lost 2, also eliminated. Key West made a lucky recovery and remain in the match. Dogfighters still have 2. It's round 4, 6 teams, 12 cars, Moby D. Somehow Big Al and Numbskull made it out of that massacre of a round with all their cars intact. It puts them in a pretty decent place going forward into this match, but as you know, anything can happen as Turtle Shell slams into Moby D. A lot of paint flying around right there. Turtle Shell looking a little vulnerable here as Lily takes to the field. Lily hip checks Turtle Shell across the ground. Turtle Shell spinning to a stop. Turtle Shell showing off some pretty sweet dance moves right there. And no eliminations yet in the round. Agent Y. Agent Y tries to leap over Moby D and can't quite pull off the maneuver, lands on the side of the track and just topples upside down, almost makes it over all the way but can't quite do it. That could be it for Agent Y. Team Beaverworks still have one in the match though. Backslider, the last one from Baby Brigade. That deadly front ramp on Backslider, deadly once again for Moby D, and Big Al loses a big one for their team. Paint flying everywhere. They might be down a couple babies, but they are still just as nasty. Day at the beach. Day at the beach, what even is that? I don't even know what happened there. Day at the beach kind of took a half-hearted launch off Backslider and got hung up, it looks like, on the jump. Well, I get the feeling that Day at the beach isn't going to stay there for long. Here comes Red One. Red One does not take the ramp, dislodges Day at the beach, and of course Day at the beach recovers. Red One now posed potentially to go under that ramp. Pretty big hit from Raijin Express for Numbskull. Numbskull slams into Red One and pinches it off the track, but Red One stays alive with an about face and a good landing. Bella smacks the wall of Raijin, cannot get much action there, and locks it in. Beaver E, time for some undercutting. Beaver E gets under Bella, but a deft maneuver right there, and Bella flips over, lands it right side up, and Raijin manages to stay in place. Dr. Black MD gonna stir it up. Dr. Black slides under 3 vehicles on the track, gets about halfway under Backslider, takes Beaver E out on the way through. Somehow Raijin manages to stay upright. This could be trouble for Beaverworks. Beaver E needs to make a recovery here. Lamelt not willing to help out at all, and that was the final car of the round. Bad news for Beaverworks. That is going to knock them out of this match. 3 vehicles eliminated on the round. There are just 5 teams left in this match. Let's take a look at the aftermath. Beaverworks got knocked out. Big Al lost 1. Numbskull stayed at 3. And Baby Brigade stayed at 1. Key West still having a day at the beach, and the Dogfighters stayed alive at 2. As I mentioned, we're down to the top 5 teams of the custom tournament. Congrats to all the teams that made it from 6th to 12th place in this competition. Now let's go find out who's gonna get number 1. Numbskull starting off round 5 with the ever-impressive Turtle Shell. Oh, and as soon as I say that, of course, Turtle Shell, not so impressive, but Turtle Shell's gonna take a hit that I have a theory will probably lead to a recovery, but I won't say one way or the other, I don't wanna jinx it. Dr. Black MD gonna deliver that hit. Dr. Black knocks Turtle Shell right off the track, and Turtle Shell, of course, rolls over on its back and then flips right side up as per usual. And now here comes Bella for the Dogfighters. Bella slams into Dr. Black, pushes Dr. Black up on that sharp ramp on the front of the vehicle, but Dr. Black will not move and stays locked in. Both of these cars are about to take a devastating hit from Backslider, and we've seen this happen before. It's never good. A huge slice, cars flying up in the air. Dr. Black bouncing, getting smacked by Bella. Bella making it up to 6 before coming down on top of Dr. Black. And Dr. Black, kind of lucky actually, managed to make a recovery because of that. Bella also somehow pulls off a recovery, though that is a dangerous position to be in. Day at the beach, time to take that jump. And what a jump by Day at the beach. That looked more like a skateboarding maneuver than anything. Day at the beach landing it flawlessly and giving Backslider a little nudge. Lamelt. Somehow Lamelt remains stable off of that jump, hits it and then lands it. Wow, not many cars can do that, but Lamelt is not many cars. The Red One. The Red One slips that dagger underneath the jump, doesn't want to take the jump, and pushes Backslider up towards the front. That's a good way to stay alive right there. Here comes Lily. Lily hits red one. Oh, and takes a bad bounce off the back of red one. Back of that vehicle has caused trouble for these flat cars. Lamelt had trouble last round, if you remember. And now Lily does a bunch of dancing and spinning with just the front end hanging out over the track. There could be a chance of recovery right here if Raijin hits it right. Raijin slams into the group and hits it perfectly for Lily. Lily flips right over, right side up. You couldn't have planned it any better. Raijin does not do any other damage. And that was the last car of the round. That means no eliminations for this round. That shows you the caliber of these competitors. That means we're gonna plunge right into round 6, and we're gonna increase those speeds. Gotta have some eliminations, so all the cars are gonna go down the track faster. Turtle Shell starts us off with a speedy hit on Evil Weevil, goes all the way up to the front and still locks it in. And here comes a quicker Bella. Bella rather nicely knocks Turtle Shell into the safety area, just kind of plops him there and then bounces back. It was a nice undercut of a hit, but Turtle Shell got too good a balance to be affected. Red one's gonna take a shot at Bella now in the middle of the track. Increased speed for red one, still not a whole lot of speed, and just kind of pushes everybody up to the front and locks them in. Day at the Beach has got to watch out for the back of red one. It's bad for these flat cars, as we know. Day at the Beach handles it like a champ, jumps right over red one, no problem, drives down Bella and parks right behind Turtle Shell. Slightly precarious position, but I get the feeling that Day at the Beach can handle it. Oh boy, here we go, backslider coming down. The increased speed of backslider has caused devastation on the track. Red one getting tossed off the track for the first time upside down. And take a close look at this red one on the way out. Grabs one of those babies, knocks it off of backslider, does not go out without a fight. Bella got turned sideways on that hit, and Day at the Beach survived. Wow, that was a big hit right there. Here comes Lamelt. Lamelt takes the jump again, and wow, that is just amazing to watch. Lamelt lands right back on the track, slides around facing forward. Can't quite lock it into the track, though. That could be a vulnerable position. Here comes Lily. Lily showing you why this team is called the Dogfighters. Look at all the air that Lily gets on the way down to a successful landing. She makes it all the way up to an 8, highest jump so far today. Quite possibly the only car that Backslider has to fear, Dr. Black MD. Dr. Black, what a smooth hit that was. Just goes right under Backslider. Doesn't even do any damage. Just goes gliding right underneath and leaves it back on the track again. And Lamelt takes a little bump, but nothing major. Here comes Raijin Express, last vehicle of the round. Oh, looks like Backslider got dislodged enough that even Raijin was able to get underneath that ramp and make a nice hit. Can't tell if Lamelt might be beyond 45. It's tough to say. We're going to have to take a measurement on that. Otherwise, we lost 2 cars in the round. Red 1 and Bella are going to be out. No teams eliminated in this round. Taking a look at that measurement, Lamelt is just below the 45-degree angle and will survive for another round. That means that once again, Numbskull still has 3 left in this match. Big Al down to 1, Baby still at 1, Key West still at 1, and Dogfighters down to just 1. The cars will continue to go down at the same speed. Lamelt starting us off for Numbskull. Numbskull looking pretty good in this match right now, but there's plenty of danger left and anything can still happen. Lily's gonna take a shot at Lamelt. And a nice shot it is, manages to bobble Lamelt around a little bit, push him into the crates, and then Lamelt parks precariously with Lily curbside. The brigade continues to shrink, Backslider down to 2 babies. Oh, look at this! Backslider with a hit that was so powerful! It flipped upside down on the track, sent both of the other cars, one up to level 8 for Lily. Lamelt eliminated, Lily on the edge, and Backslider is in deep trouble here. Baby Brigade might just be out unless they can make some sort of recovery. Still on the track, so there's still a chance for both of these cars. Here comes Dr. Black. Let's see what happens. Dr. Black slides under. Oh, and just for a second, Backslider recovers and can't quite handle the weight of its own bulk and flips over sideways, and that might be it right there. Lily not quite able to make a recovery yet. Day at the Beach. Day at the Beach plows into the cars, and no change there as Day at the Beach locks it in. A slight flip up for Lily, but not enough to get over. Raijin Express. Raijin hits the line, and Lily is finished off, and that is going to end the dogfighters for sure. We're going to lose 2 teams in this round, it looks like to me. Still got one more car to come down, Turtle Shell. Dr. Black, got to be careful here. Turtle Shell headbutts Raijin, locks the line in. No more damage there, but enough damage in this round caused by Backslider to last for a while. 3 cars and 2 teams going away in this round. Let's take a look at the aftermath. Numbskull down to 2. Baby Brigade out. Key West still in this, and the Dogfighters are out. We are down to 3 teams. It's round 8. We go until there is just 1 team left. Turtle Shell's going to start us off. Ended last round, starting off this one. 2 left for Numbskull. Turtle Shell goes off the edge of the track, tries to escape, but can't quite make it. Still in danger there. Day at the Beach going to make the next hit. Day at the Beach blows on through. Turtle Shell makes a nice spin, gets the heck out of there into safety. Day at the Beach still on the track. Curbside, though, could be a little bit dangerous. Gonna have to survive an undercut from Dr. Black MD. Dr. Black carves underneath Day at the Beach, but Day at the Beach just flips around, and it's not a problem. Recovery right there. Evil Weevil still on the track, doing some buffering work. And it's the final car of round 8, Raijin Express. Raijin hits Dr. Black, does not manage to take it down, and actually stays alive barely itself. Teeters on the edge and almost flips over. No eliminations on this round. If things weren't heating up enough, they're going to heat up more now. We're going to increase those speeds again. If there are no eliminations in round 9, we will go no holds barred. Here comes the increased speed of Turtle Shell. Turtle Shell rockets down the track, takes his position, does go off the track this time, just locks it in. Impressive at these speeds. Dr. Black has a chance to do some damage for Big Al's primary objective. Could take out Turtle Shell right here. Ooh, good effort, but can't quite do it. Turtle Shell makes a nice recovery, gets off the track to safety. Numbskull is going to stick around for another round. Dr. Black is curbside. Day at the Beach has an opportunity here. Day at the Beach, not enough power in that vehicle. Oh wow, the top of Day at the Beach is starting to come off. Finally, the masking tape is coming loose on that car after all the abuse it's taken and the flips it's done. Raijin Express, this is the biggest vehicle left right now. Raijin hits the line, and Dr. Black gets squeezed out in a dramatic fashion, hits the tires, and can't quite make the rollover, runs out of space, flips over upside down, and that is going to do it for Big Al. The primary objective have been eliminated by that hit by Raijin. They're going to secure 3rd place in this contest, and now there's just 2 teams left. Numbskull still at 2, Key West at 1. Here we go. It's round 10. Numbskull has had a dominant performance in this match, but it is not over until it's over. Anything can happen, and we know Day at the Beach has amazing survival skills. Day at the Beach gonna hit the track now. And slides into Turtle Shell, pushes Turtle Shell up into the safety spot. Not exactly a damaging move right there. Day at the Beach basically just hoping that Numbskull will damage itself. Raijin slams into Day at the Beach, knocks it off the track. Day at the Beach, nice recovery there, nice and level. No eliminations on this round, and guess what, everybody? It's time for no holds barred. Time to pull Evil Weevil, the track buffer, off the track. And I think you'll understand why we have that track buffer after this. Things are about to get crazy. The truest test of survival there is in Junkyard Joust. No holds barred. Here comes Raijin. No track buffer, and Raijin hits the safety bar at full speed, bounces back, goes off the track upside down, takes itself out. That vehicle is just a little too heavy for its own good at this speed. And this is exactly what Day at the Beach and the Key West crew needed to happen. Day at the Beach hits that safety bar and goes all the way back down the track. Curbside at the bottom of the hill. Pretty vulnerable position. Let's see if it pays off. Turtle Shell has an opportunity to end this match right here, but gotta be careful and don't self-eliminate. Turtle Shell slams into Day at the Beach. Day at the Beach gets off the track, lets Turtle Shell hit that safety bar. Not enough speed for Turtle Shell to damage itself, though. And we're gonna go on to round 12. And finally, the teams are equal. Key West versus Numbskull. It's the final showdown. Each team is going to take turns going first and trying to get an elimination. And they'll keep going until somebody gets eliminated. Day at the Beach, wow, just hits the rail so hard, goes halfway up the hill, comes back down, and yet somehow manages to stay on the track. And now Turtle Shell is gonna get an opportunity to end this match. Turtle Shell rips through Day at the Beach, knocking the top off. The wave comes undone, and Turtle Shell just whipped over to the left, slams into the stone fence, knocks them over, but survives. Final showdown will continue. This time, Turtle Shell's going down first. Gotta be careful here. Turtle Shell hits the end of the track, flips over, makes a nice recovery, goes pretty high up in the air, and with that recovery, not going to do any damage to Day at the Beach. Day at the Beach now basically just has to survive this run to stay in. Day at the Beach doing a massive bounce down at the end, goes way, way back, even higher than before. Almost going to end up back on the platform again, and that is a survival right there. Well done. So Day at the Beach will start us off for this round of the final showdown. Day at the Beach hits that and this time gets caught up on the edge of the track and ends up at the bottom of the hill, curbside. This is definitely a trickier position to be in here. Turtle Shell can try to take advantage of this, hasn't so far. Turtle Shell makes the hit, and that is gonna do it. Day at the Beach gets knocked upside down, clips on the end of the track, actually takes a bunch of turf with it, and that unusual bounce is enough to cause an elimination. Unusual upside down. I don't know if the wave just ran out of energy from all those hits, but that's it for Key West crew, and we have a winner, folks. Turtle Shell and Numbskull Racing are the champions of the first ever Junkyard Joust Custom Tournament. Congratulations to our top 3 teams. Big Al's Primary Objectives gets 3rd, Key West Crew gets 2nd, and Numbskull Racing tops the charts, number 1. Here's how all 12 teams placed in this match. I'm going to do another custom tournament early next year. I'll let you know about the rules for that as soon as I can. These top 3 teams will automatically get to compete in that if they wish. The Apocalypse Joust is nearly upon us. I'll have a posting about that over on redlinederby.com very soon, telling you what the rules are. That is a custom tournament. There's actually going to be probably multiple tournaments, all in the world of Apocalypse Joust. Those of you who sent money for return shipping will get your cars back pretty soon. Thank you to everybody who sent cars for this contest. I had a really great time doing it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be tweaking the rules a little bit for future custom jousts, so make sure that you know what those are before you design your cars. Cheers, everybody. See you next time on the Joust.